Good morning, and thank you all for being here on this unique day at the Committee on Education and the Workforce as we host the first Bipartisan Innovation Forum and Showcase. The staff didn't put in the word first. I added that. I hope it will be something that will continue. I was fortunate to go through the showcase a little bit ago and chat with most of the people down there, and I strongly encourage everyone in the audience to stop by the Rayburn foyer before 1 o'clock and see it for yourself. Some exciting examples of what's going on in education and the workforce. I'd like to welcome all of the great innovators who've traveled here from across America to share with us and the public how they're addressing the nation's education and workforce development challenges. These innovators are on the front lines and can help us as we look for ways to continue to lower unemployment and equip Americans with access to the opportunities they need to build the lives they want for themselves. Innovation is what happens when someone has an idea that works. Innovation is the most local of local solutions. We want to hear ideas that come from cities, communities, and neighborhoods, not from Washington, D.C. This forum gives us the great opportunity to learn from those who are making breakthroughs in their own schools and workplaces. Steve Jobs once said, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower." We're about to hear from some of the most important leaders in the country. There are more than 6 million unfilled jobs in the country. Many of those jobs are unfilled because candidates to fill those jobs don't have the right skills. Workforce development is the answer to this problem. With a changing economy and a changing workforce, we need fresh ideas in education, and I know we'll be hearing some fresh ideas today. Another great innovator, Thomas Edison, once said of all the unsuccessful attempts he made to invent the light bulb, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways it won't work." I hope the innovators we hear from today will be candid with us about their successes and their failures. Each innovator here today has great ideas on how to face these workforce development challenges. And I want to thank each and every innovator who's working to lead America into the future of education and workforce development. With that, I recognize Representative Bonamici for her opening statement.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Fox, and thanks to you and Ranking Member Scott for organizing and hosting the first annual Bipartisan Innovation Forum and Showcase. But thank you especially to each of the innovators for all of your great work and for your testimonies on this panel and those later to come this morning. I look forward to seeing the showcase as well that Chairwoman Fox mentioned. The future of our country depends on our work here in Congress, but really across the country, to make sure that every child has a full chance to succeed in school and in life, regardless of race, zip code, or family wealth. I know we've made some progress, but we still face too many challenges in advancing equity, opportunity, and access to education and employment. And I look forward to hearing from innovators about how they're working to further our progress, both in education and workforce development. I'm especially proud to have Marna Stalcup with the Right Brain Initiative here representing Oregon. The 1st Congressional District in Northwest Oregon is home to some of our country's most remarkable innovators. There are 2 nationally recognized STEAM schools challenging students in science and math and pushing students to create, imagine, and solve problems. And the Right Brain Initiative is transforming student learning through arts integration. I'm pleased that committee members and staff will hear how the program is systemically improving education in public schools in the Portland metro region, engaging students, improving outcomes, and helping them become creative and collaborative problem solvers. There are so many organizations dedicated to serving students in innovative ways. It was hard for me to choose just one, and I want to highlight a couple more. The Chicas Youth Development Program partners with local public schools and more than 500 local families each year to offer after-school programming, leadership and community service opportunities to Latina youth and their families. The organization's Journey to College initiative is helping Latina families prepare for college, matches savings accounts to help low-income families. Chicas serves more than 600 young Latinas ages 8 to 18 and boasts a rate of 100% graduation rate and 100% college enrollment for high school seniors. Warrenton Grade School in a small town in rural coastal Oregon is helping students by incorporating trauma-informed practices into their school system. The school has shifted from a punitive to a compassionate approach to school discipline, and as a result, suspensions have gone down and attendance and achievement have improved. New Avenues for Youth in Portland operates 2 social enterprises to help at-risk foster and homeless youth overcome barriers to achieve their true potential through education, job training, and employment opportunities. Portland Community College is collaborating with the Oregon Department of Health to lead a consortium of colleges to innovate anti-poverty project called STEP. The consortia helps students eligible for SNAP benefits complete their GED, increase their English skills, earn a college credential, secure an internship, and find good-paying jobs. I know innovators in Oregon, as well as all of the innovators who are here today, are well-suited to help this committee address our country's education and workforce challenges. We have a lot to learn from these organizations, and we can apply what they share, helping to strengthen education and workforce development programs throughout the country. I'm looking forward to future bipartisan discussions to replicate the many ideas that are highlighted here today. Thank you again, Chairwoman Fox, and to Ranking Member Scott, who will be here shortly, for your leadership, and I yield back.
Thank you, Congresswoman Bonamici. I'm now introduce our distinguished innovators of Panel 1. Chris Baer is with Wilkes Community College. Sandra Baker is with the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce. Peter Kallstrom is with the San Diego Workforce Partnership. Brad Neese is with Apprenticeship Carolina. Danielle Fraser is with Charlotte Works. Before I recognize you to provide your testimony, let me briefly remind you of our lighting system. We're allowing 3 minutes for each innovator to present testimony. When you begin, the light in front of you will turn green. When 1 minute is left, the light will turn yellow. At the 3-minute mark, the light will turn red. And at that point, I'll ask you to wrap up your testimony. As you know, we have several other panels to come behind you, and we're very respectful of everybody's time. So members will each have 3 minutes to ask questions of the panelists. So, Chris, I recognize you first for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Fox and members of the committee. It's indeed an honor to be here today. And my testimony is going to focus on a partnership between Wilkes Community College and GE Aviation. In June 2013, GE Aviation announced plans to expand operations in its 4 North Carolina facilities to support its newest jet engine innovation called LEAP. This would mean the addition of over 240 highly skilled employees across all facilities, including Asheville, Durham, Wilmington, and of course West Jefferson. The West Jefferson facility initially needed an additional 105 new employees and nearly 100,000 square feet of manufacturing space, almost doubling the size of their existing facility at the time. Located in Ashe County, which is in the northwest corner of the state, whose population was approximately 27,000, there was legitimate concern as to whether enough qualified individuals could be found. Thus, a recruitment team was formed to conduct outreach to surrounding communities to recruit not only the numbers needed, but the right individuals for the jobs as well. In October of 2014, Wilkes Community College and other partners, including NC Work Centers, of course, Wilkes Community College, High Country Workforce Development, the counties of Ashe, Ashe County Chamber of Commerce, local towns of West Jefferson, began working with GE Aviation on recruiting new qualified employees to the positions. The goal for the project was 10,000 touches, which is personal contact with 10,000 people across the region, to let them know of the job possibilities with GE. The process to recruit, screen, educate new employees was designed to be as seamless as possible for both the applicant and the company. So the first step in that process, called Recruit, an outreach effort in the Northwest North Carolina High Country region that included billboards, direct mail, and a website highlighting the jobs, a local campaign to better inform community leaders, educating personnel at NC Work Centers across the region on the job requirements for the positions, supportive education through Wilkes Community College for potential applicants, providing assistance in completing the online application process, and interviewing skills on behavioral-based interviewing techniques. A culminating hiring event at the Ash campus of Wilkes Community College that resulted in nearly 300 people attending. The second step was screening. An easy application online process was incorporated by GE, and of course the college helped assist with that. The second step was a select assessment for manufacturing, or SAMS assessment. GE selects successful applicants to take the SAMS test proctored by Wilkes Community College and NC Works centers. Once that process has taken place, the next step was to educate. So successful applicants of the SAMS process would be invited to attend a 40-hour, what we dub the pre-hire course. This course includes company information, teamwork, print reading, metrology, and so forth. And finally, educate. Applicants chosen by the company, again, were invited to attend the 40-hour pre-hire course. Those who successfully completed the 40-hour pre-hire course would then be granted an interview, and then those successful through the interview process would be granted a position at that time.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Ms. Baker, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Good morning. The future success of our economy rests in the hands of today's students. We start as early as kindergarten asking students, what do you want to be when you grow up? Students say, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a congresswoman, I want to be a bubble maker. And we post these things in a refrigerator and we think, what a great conversation with our 5 or 6-year-old. Somewhere along the line, the conversation changes. So we decided to ask middle school students, what do you want to be when you grow up? Our middle school students shared several things they wanted to be, and then we asked, why did you choose that? And they would say, that's what my mom does, or my dad works there, or my grandfather said I should do this, or the most favorite is CSI. They all want to be investigative someone. And so what we learned from that is they don't have a lot of knowledge. They don't have a lot of depth. By the 7th or 8th grade, and going into high school, they don't really have very much knowledge about our companies. They don't really have in-depth knowledge to have a conversation about choosing their career pathway and what they're going to do for the rest of their lives. So we want to change that conversation. We want to provide students with more information. We want to change the mantra from going to college to go to career, because no matter what pathway, everybody's going to go to a career. That's what we want. So thank you for letting me share the story today. I am from Bowling Green, Kentucky. We are located in South Central Kentucky. We have a 10-county workforce region serving close to 300,000 people. Currently, we have 6,869 open positions, and that projected demand in 10 years is to be 161,000. The current economic impact of those 6,500 jobs is $1.35 billion. So as you all have said today, it's an issue that we are all trying to solve. SCK Launch is learning about unique and new careers here. It's an overarching talent development strategy. It began with the seeds in 2010 through a partnership with Franklin Covey, working with our local elementary and middle schools to teach employability soft skills through the 7 habits of highly effective people. Our Chamber of Commerce raised $1.4 million through a capital campaign, and we now have 14 Lighthouse schools. So our committed community is now saying, these kids are reaching high school, so now what are we going to do to help these young people? Through a partnership with Bowling Green Independent School System, Warren County Public Schools, and our business partners, the Chamber of Commerce served as the backbone organization to develop SCK Launch. Along the way, we have had 50% that are business and 50% educators. We ensure to make sure that every time we're at the table, it's 50-50. Even at the Chamber, I work closely with Meredith Rosansky, our COO, and we say, she talks business, I talk educator. And that way, together, we bridge systems, we bridge conversations, we help with the gaps between education and workforce in our businesses. Our community envisions the ideal graduate. We want every student graduating from our high schools to be global-minded, emotionally intelligent, and a lifelong learner. SCK Launch provides opportunities to help those visions come to fruition. We provide Experience, which is an 8th grade expo. We had 3,800 students last year. We will have close to 4,500 8th graders this year. We provide Career Shadowing, which offers our 11th and 12th graders an opportunity to go into our businesses, learn about the businesses, and watch the many different fields that are available in those companies. We provide educators externships so that they can learn about the companies, they learn about the careers, and that helps them go back and be a better coach for their students. And we are continuing with student-led leadership in our high schools through applying soft skills. We are also working on helping each high school find out.
Ms. Baker, I'm going to need to ask you
Yes, ma'am.
to finish up if you could.
Okay. Well, SCK Launch is built to prepare our youth to succeed, and we believe that it takes a community to do that, and that through providing those opportunities for students, we will connect those dots.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kallstrom, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you,
3
Chair.
minutes goes by fast.
Thank you, Chairwoman. It's an honor to be with you today. Thank you to Congresswoman Susan Davis for her invitation and tireless efforts in our region. Thanks to your support of WIOA, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, our national workforce development system is stronger, more responsive, more innovative, and more effective than ever. The positive changes in WIOA have enabled local workforce boards to innovate and efficiently deliver services that are tailored to meet unique regional needs. Local control is vital as each region is unique. The system works incredibly well. The foundational WIOA funding cannot and is not intended to be able to do it all. It is the essential stimulus, however, that allows us to serve our communities and to innovate as intended in this landmark innovation. WIOA supports 2,500 career centers, or also known as America's Job Centers, throughout our country, providing a broad array of services for all job seekers, reaching 4 million job seekers annually, 100,000 in the San Diego region alone. The public workforce system is at the center of addressing the skills gap. However, the skills gap exists due to other gaps, the awareness gap and opportunity gaps that lead to limitations in pathways for in-demand jobs. We have leveraged and expanded our WIOA investment, as we all need to on a local and regional level, in many ways in San Diego. We now have multiple city and county contracts, private sector investors, and philanthropy. This is only possible due to WIOA being the foundation of it all. As a result, the public, private, and philanthropic collaborative, we have implemented many new initiatives in our region. To address the youth disconnection crisis, in 2013, we created a new program called Connect to Careers. We had 500 applicants in year one. 5 years later, we have 15,000 applicants, young adults wanting to get jobs. Convening our community is another critical service. We bring together thousands annually in order to share the data that we know about the labor market and where the careers are. Tech Hire is another great initiative. 1,000 young adults, including 150 veterans, will begin careers in in-demand tech careers. This year, we'll also launch a new initiative to serve those who are homeless, to get them employed. Creative funding models are also critical to long-term sustainability. Pay-for-performance, income sharing agreements, and social enterprise accelerators are examples of this. Ongoing labor market research is essential to what we do. We share the data that we compile around what is going on in our region with schools. So we're now educating kids in K through 12 as to what the careers are in the region, inspiring future partnerships and opportunities for them. That's overcoming the opportunity gap and the awareness gap, which is going to close the skills gap. Though our economy is strong now, millions are still unemployed and underemployed. We can never lose sight of the fact that millions rely on the public workforce system, in good times and bad. Know that your WIOA support and other public workforce funding is making a profoundly positive impact in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neese, you're recognized for 5 minutes. 3 minutes, excuse me. I'm so used to saying 5, sorry.
I'll take 5 if you'd like. Good morning. My name is Brad Neese. I'm the Associate Vice President of the Division of Economic Development with the South Carolina Technical College System and serve as the Director of Apprenticeship Carolina. Thank you, Chairwoman Fox and Ranking Member Scott and fellow committee members for allowing me to speak to you today. I'd especially like to thank Congressman Wilson, my congressman, for his vocal support of technical education, the South Carolina Technical College System, and his ongoing support for Apprenticeship Carolina. Congressman, your passion on this issue is evident and most appreciated. The South Carolina Technical College System continues to be South Carolina's workforce development engine. The system offers organizations large, small, and those in between a wide variety of programs and services designed to enhance the skill level of our state's workforce. In 2007, Apprenticeship Carolina was formed as a division of the South Carolina Technical College System and is designed to ensure that all employers in South Carolina have access to the information and technical assistance they need to create demand-driven apprenticeship programs. These services are available to South Carolina companies free of charge. South Carolina companies are also then eligible for a unique and innovative tax credit, which is $1,000 per apprentice per year for 4 years. Since its inception in 2007, Apprenticeship Carolina has grown at a phenomenal rate. The number of participating companies has increased 11-fold from 90 to 971 registered companies. The number of apprentices served has grown to nearly 29,000 from a mere 777. Each month, Apprenticeship Carolina adds approximately 120 new apprentices and registers 1 or more programs per week. Many think of traditional trades such as construction electricians and plumbers as the ideal occupations for apprenticeship. Apprenticeship Carolina, however, has broadened that scope to include non-traditional occupation sectors such as healthcare, information technology, tourism, and advanced manufacturing. Because of this approach to non-traditional industries, South Carolina has a much higher than national average female and minority participation rate. South Carolina can also boast proudly that 29% of our registered apprentices are also veterans. South Carolina has had phenomenal success. This is especially impressive since it has been done at a very modest state budget of less than $600,000 per year for operations. We have been very successful in finding alternative funding to support apprenticeship growth in the state. To date, Apprenticeship Carolina has been awarded $1.25 million in Appalachian Regional Commission funding and $7.2 million in USDOL apprenticeship funding. Combined, these funds have touched the lives of nearly 2,000 South Carolina apprentices. It is imperative that these funding opportunities remain in place and remain specific to the expansion of apprenticeship. It is also important that these funds allow states to be flexible in their approach to apprenticeship development. South Carolina has shown that the implementation of a modest tax credit may impact employer participation in apprenticeship. The federal government may follow suit by promoting apprenticeship by instituting a similar tax credit. Not all companies have a state tax liability, but all companies have a federal tax liability. Reducing the cost for apprenticeship increases the likelihood that companies will participate. We would not be where we are today without the dedication and support of a lot of people and organizations. As one of our key stakeholders, thank you for your time and ongoing support of apprenticeship. We look forward to continued success.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. Ms. Frazier, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Good morning, and thank you, Chairwoman Fox and Congresswoman Adams, for the invite and for your support, and to the subcommittee for the opportunity to share today. I am Danielle Frazier, the Chief Operating Officer for Charlotte Works, the Workforce Development Board for Charlotte and Mecklenburg County in North Carolina. I'm here to share about the work and the impact of the Health Career Pathways Network, a national initiative that was launched back in April of 2016 by the White House and Hope Street Group. The Charlotte region was selected as one of 7 to pilot this initiative, designed to strengthen the healthcare workforce using a competency-based approach to sourcing, hiring, and advancing talent. Atrium Health, the largest employer in the Charlotte region, became a founding member of the Healthcare Career Pathways Network because of their commitment to update their hiring practices and broaden their talent pool. Through this initiative, Atrium wanted to address key challenges with their workforce. Those to be addressed first was to decrease the high turnover in vacancy rates in the certified nurse aide and certified medical assistant positions. Solving this problem for Atrium was twofold. It filled vacant positions with qualified, vetted talent and allowed for economic mobility opportunities within the organization for individuals having significant challenges to obtaining employment. Charlotte Works was chosen as the backbone organization to convene the workforce partners around this initiative. These partners included our secondary and post-secondary, as well as other workforce development serving partners. To address Atrium's challenges, Hope Street Group, Atrium, Charlotte Works, and other partners developed and collaborated in adopting a 7-step career navigation system model. This model it uses a candidate career portfolio to aid in identifying, preparing, and sourcing talent based on Atrium's needs. Since the implementation of this initiative launched back in June of 2017, we have accomplished many things. The development of the career portfolio in partnership with Atrium and community partners. 4 candidates by the end of 2017 were hired. This exceeded Atrium's goal of 1 by this time. The early success provided early evidence of effectiveness in this aligned approach. To date, Atrium has hired 8 candidates, with more candidates in the pipeline, which this may not seem like a lot. However, laying the foundation took some time. It was a lot of manpower and a lot of day-long sessions with all of the partners, including Atrium. But now that we have this model, we have been able to begin scaling this to create additional talent sourcing opportunities within Atrium as well as with other companies. This initiative has also provided candidates who might have traditionally been left out of the selection and hiring process with an opportunity for a job and a career path. Lastly, much of the success of this initiative is due to having an employer that is committed to leading the effort and trusting their workforce development partners to being a part of their solution to their talent needs. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Great presentations by all of you. And let me say to our members, as well as to the panelists, while we don't have a lot of members here to hear your presentations, this is being streamed live on our website. It's being recorded and will be made available on the website so that others will be able to learn from you over a long period of time. And I'll say very briefly, I've already picked up some great phrases from what you all have said about other ways we can talk about how to talk about workforce development and education. So thank you very much. Okay, now, they'll start my time. Mr. Baer, I know you didn't get a chance to complete your comments, but I wanted to ask you, first of all, thank you for what you're doing. I visited the GE plant in West Jefferson. Susan Davis was with me in the district the other day, so she'd been to West Jefferson. We didn't get a chance to go to GE, but she realizes that West Jefferson, for one thing, is in a very remote area. And so recruiting all those people you recruited was great. I want to ask you what you're doing to undertake to evaluate the effectiveness of the program, because I know you didn't get a chance to get into all of that, but have you made any changes based on the evaluation?
Yes, we are constantly reevaluating what we do. I worked spent a lot of time with some GE representatives when we had developed the initial curriculum. And one thing I can say, if you want a word of wisdom, is don't be afraid to fail, because we did a few times. We fell down, but we learned from it. We picked ourselves up, and we looked at what we were doing, and we changed it. And now I think we've got a pretty good program in place, but we're always revising. Things change. And to answer your question a little bit further, if I have time, it's one of the things that I have done and GE has allowed me to do is go in the facility at any time that I want to go and job shadow. So when we send a group of new employees to GE, I go with them and I follow them around and I look at what they're doing, and then I ask previous groups, hey, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And you have to prod maybe just a little bit, but they'll tell you after a while, and we take that information back and we improve, if that answers your question.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. I'll tell you, I want to be very respectful of everyone's time today, so I'm not going to continue with my questioning, and I'll recognize Ms. Bonamici now for her 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'm going to defer to the colleagues who are here who have their guests, Representative Davis and Representative Adams.
You're just deferring or
I will
yielding your
yield-
time?
yield
Yielding
my-
your
yield,
time,
sorry,
okay.
yield my time to them.
Ms. Adams? you're recognized.
Okay, thank you, Chairwoman Fox. Thank you, Ranking Member Bonamici, and to Ranking Member Scott, who is not here right now, but also to the great innovators who are here today, who help to make our workforce as strong as it can be. Of course, I want to recognize the innovator from my district, Ms. Frazier of Charlotte Works, which is the Workforce Development Board for Mecklenburg County and one of our nation's most forward-thinking, resourceful workforce development entities. Charlotte Works helps to assist residents who are unemployed and underemployed, and through a lot of targeted, coordinated outreach. So, Ms. Frazier, I have a question. You talked about your coordination with Atrium Health, but can you describe the typical citizen that Charlotte Works helps to gear into careers and how you match those citizens into certain occupations?
Sure. Well, under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, we serve the gamut of clients that come through our doors through our NC Works Career Center. So those individuals are unemployed as well as underemployed that we serve. Those individuals that are coming in to start a career, but then those that are coming in to change careers. And so we serve all the individuals from low skill, no skill, to all the way to high skilled individuals. And what we do is we do an assessment. We do some career coaching, have some conversations. We look at their background, their interests, and where their experience is, and then we align that with where the job market is. So data-led information is what we share with our job seekers to say, these are the industries in demand, and here's what's here now, and here's what's in the future, and see where that alignment is. And then we consult with our employer partners that we have and that we partner with to align and to do job matching.
Okay, so you do collaborate with other workforce development boards in sharing outreach?
We absolutely do. Employers don't see boundary lines, they don't see county or city lines, and so we partner with our other workforce board entities as well as other educational entities to align in that effort to fill talent needs that employers have.
Communities that have similar demographics of skills, do you think that what you do would be helpful to them?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, one last question. What do you think Congress can do to make your work more successful?
I think it's about advocating and educating and really championing employer engagement. I think that's one that we're always looking for employers to know the value of our workforce system and for them to understand exactly who we are and how we can serve and how we can provide customized solutions to meet their talent needs.
Great, thank you very much. I yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Mr. Wilson, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
And thank you very much, Chairwoman Fox. And I'd like to thank everyone for being here. It is very inspiring. And of course, I'm particularly grateful to welcome my constituents, Brad and Jennifer Neese of Columbia. So thank you for being here. And Brad is the very effective director of the Apprenticeship Carolina and vice president of the Division of Economic Development with the South Carolina Technical College System, which has produced many jobs in South Carolina and across the country. I'm also grateful the Senate passed the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, which passed the House with bipartisan unanimous support, inspired by Chairwoman Virginia Fox. As the manufacturing is growing in South Carolina, so does the need for an effective pipeline to address the skills gap. With the growth of Michelin of France, Bridgestone of Japan, BMW of Germany, Boeing, with the growth of Samsung of Korea, and additionally now Volvo has just completed their construction and manufacturing. South Carolina is the #1 exporter and manufacturer of tires of any state in the United States, with Michelin, Continental, Bridgestone, and GT. Also, South Carolina, with BMW, Volvo, Mercedes, is the leading exporter of cars from the United States, over $10 billion last year, and technical colleges were vital to achieve this extraordinary development for the people of our state. And so Director Neese, with the apprenticeship program, a great example at Boeing, which has been so successful, could you elaborate on the partnership?
Absolutely, Congressman. You're absolutely right about the success that we've had with manufacturing in our state, and we proudly promote the apprenticeship option as a way for our companies, including Boeing, Michelin, Continental, many of those companies that you just named, as the way that these companies can ensure that they have a pipeline of talent for years and years to come. Interestingly, one of the ways that our companies are beginning to impact that pipeline at an earlier level is by going into what we're dubbing youth apprenticeship, which is the idea of going into the high schools at age 16 and 17 and creating demand-driven apprenticeship programs. Many of these kids are enrolled dually at one of our technical colleges and complete their apprenticeship program with Boeing or Michelin with as much as 27 hours towards an associate's degree.
And that's fantastic. And another example of bipartisanship, the technical college system of South Carolina was largely established by former U.S. Senator Fritz Hollings, along with late U.S. Congressman Floyd Spence. And so it's a great example of people working together, and I yield back my time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Davis, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I know how fortunate we are to have Peter Kallstrom here this morning to speak to workforce development and particularly to have your leadership. One of the things that Mr. Kallstrom's been able to do so well is to really get out in the community and speak to the needs of the community particularly, and to tailor so many of his efforts in that way. I wanted to ask two questions quickly in the interest of time. One is just leveraging federal dollars, and what strategies do you feel that local communities can have to best do that? How can that be replicated across the country? And on the apprenticeship issues, my colleague and I, Brett Guthrie, just recently introduced the Apprentice Act, which really is focusing funds on increasing public awareness for apprenticeship programs and how we can engage better the schools in becoming more knowledgeable about what is available for our young people, what kind of options are out there. So I'm wondering where you feel we should be investing some of those particular dollars as it relates to apprenticeship. So
Great.
Leveraging and
Yes.
investing. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman, and thank you again for the invitation and for your support. With, as I mentioned in my remarks, the WIOA funding is crucial as the foundation for the workforce, the public workforce system, and the 550 workforce boards that make up the fabric of this important work in our country, serving 4 million people. But it's the start, and it's an important start. And then locally, we leverage by working with the city, with the county, private sector, and philanthropy. They've made up a good portion in addition to the WIOA funding so that we can really scale the work that we do. So the summer employment program I mentioned, or not even summer, but it's year-round now, Connect to Careers, has no federal funding. So it's all city, county, private sector philanthropy. So the WIOA is the inspiration and the foundation, and it makes it possible. And through those dollars, we're able to also open up career centers in 2 jails in our region now, serving over 1,000 individuals who have exited, bringing recidivism from 60 or 70% down to 10%. It works. The federal investment is crucial to make this work and to serve people and to get them back on their feet and to make them capable of accessing the quality jobs that we want everybody to have in this community. Apprenticeships are crucial, and you hit it on the head. It's about awareness, and so part of the workforce system's job, in collaboration with the community and the community college system and all the partners, is to raise awareness, because skills gap are on the tail end of an awareness gap and an opportunity gap, and then there's a skills gap. Skills gap just doesn't occur magically. It's because kids are not even aware of the jobs that are in our community. So we work very deeply now with the K through 14 system. We share our research on the labor market, the apprenticeships, and all of the great opportunities, because one size does not fit all. And again, this is why WIOA is so crucial, because it allows local control and flexibility that allows us then to be able to share the great career pathways, and apprenticeships being one of them, with young adults from very early on, from K through 12, so that they're inspired and aware of what these careers are, and then we can help them on their pathway to access these great careers.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You, Ms. Davis. Mr. Guthrie, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Senator or Ms. Baker for being here today, a good friend of mine from Bowling Green. And my questions are focused on the SCK, Southern Kentucky launch. I know that our Chamber President, Ron Bunch, has been driven by, I guess, his customers he knows as the businesses about the workforce shortage. We're a part, Bowling Green's kind of tied in with the growth of central Middle Tennessee and just booming. And our biggest holdback is access to workers. So I know we work WIOA, he's been very involved in that, and you as well, and just getting the current workforce. But what you're here to talk about today is the SCK launch. So my question is, we have 6,500 jobs short now. Why start with kindergartners? Or are we focused that way? And then what are you doing to reach out to kindergartners and following them all the way through?
When they started with the partnership with Franklin Covey, it was in response at that time to our employees don't have the soft skills that they need. So the plan then was to just really work on employability skills. And over time, of course, the workforce shortage, we had to become more creative in some of our solutions. And one piece of the puzzle is to help our young people stay in Bowling Green. Or we talk about if they're a boomerang. You know, we hope your daughter goes away to college and boomerangs back to Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Right.
So in order to build that workforce, we need our own local people to stay in Bowling Green and to fill those gaps. So launch is a lot about learning about what's there, because our young people said, oh, I can't stay here. There's not a career for me. There's not something. And we're trying to say, yes, there is. You know, anything you want to do, we have it here. This is a great community. Stay here. So it is a challenge that when you're looking at K-12, it's a long time till businesses can see the results of what they've invested in.
So once you hit them at elementary, and I've been the leader in me in different schools, so elementary. So once they get to high school, kind of how do you transition to more harder work skills in time? Because you do hear that from a lot of people, particularly graduate from college, that there's not the opportunities here when you have 6,500 other kind of jobs moving forward. I mean, if you get technical degree, it's different than just getting a basic business degree. But you do hear that from people. Although we have great companies like Fruit of the Loom that are there. So.
Right. So that's the heart of what Launch is about, is helping our kids really learn what's available in South Central Kentucky. Because if they know what's available, one of two things. They know that after they receive their education, they can come back, that these jobs are available. They understand the wide variety of things that are available for them. And then also, we hope as early as middle school that they begin to plan their pathway and that they have a more informed idea of what it is they want to do. And they'll do that by learning more about the companies and what Bowling Green has to offer.
So we can show a tool and die maker or industrial maintenance can make six figures
Right.
easily in our community, or close to, with overtime, as opposed to some other options, but we all want them to be hilltoppers as well, so.
That's right.
Very much
That's
so.
right.
Well,
You know,
3
when
minutes is short, isn't it? It is short. I appreciate the conversation, but I
Yeah.
have run out of time. I'll yield back. Thanks so much
you.
for coming up here today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guthrie. And again, thanks to our panel. I think everyone has learned from you all, heard the skills gap and the word awareness a lot in this panel. But great comments. We appreciate it. We're going to let panel 1 leave and bring in panel 2. Remember, this is our first time doing this, so we're learning as we go also. Thank the staff. I want to welcome our second panel here, and I should have said this at the beginning, and I did not. Our staff has done a fantastic job on putting this forum together. As I mentioned, it's the first time we've ever done this, and it's a lot of work for the staff, and I want to thank them for it. And the other thing I would say is, because of the short time frame, a lot of us aren't asking questions we'd like to ask, but we may come back to you later with some questions in writing and ask you to answer them for us. So I now introduce our distinguished innovators in Panel 2. Marna Stalcup is with Right Brain Initiative from Oregon. Eric Parker is with the Clubhouse. Kathy Carlisle is with Think College and Career Academy. Anne Marie Grassi is with Open Doors Academy. And Terry Smith is with the Bartleby program. So we have a clock there, and you will each have 3 minutes to present your testimony. When you begin, the light in front of you will turn green. When 1 minute is left, the light will turn yellow. At the 3-minute mark, the light will turn red, and I'll ask you to wrap up your testimony. As the other panel will tell you, 3 minutes goes by very, very quickly. So I hope you'll keep that in mind as you make your presentation and do your best to get to the heart of the issue as quickly as you can. Then members will have 3 minutes to ask questions of the panelists. So, Ms. Stalcup, I recognize you for 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Fox and Ranking Member Scott, for hosting this bipartisan innovation panel. And thank you, Congresswoman Bonamici, for this opportunity to share the work of the Right Brain Initiative, a program of the Regional Arts and Culture Council serving the greater Portland, Oregon metropolitan region. We are especially grateful for the adoption of the Every Student Succeeds Act and the recognition that the arts are important for a well-rounded education. I'm happy to share with you today our efforts to ensure that creativity is a part of every student's education from pre-K through 8th grade. The Right Brain Initiative is an equitable, systemic, and innovative approach to education through the arts. Designed by the local community in response to the needs of our K-8 students and schools, Right Brain was launched as a public-private partnership in 2008 to transform learning for all children through the arts, creativity, and whole brain thinking. Our program is based on an arts integration model. By weaving the arts throughout the curriculum, teachers acquire new tools to engage students in the creative process that connects back to other subjects. Professional development is a significant component of the Right Brain Initiative, where we support approximately 1,500 teachers in the use of arts-based teaching strategies that address the expectations of Common Core and promote students' 21st century skills. Not only do these strategies become a regular part of teachers' instructional practice, they are also an important element of classroom artist residencies co-designed by teachers and teaching artists that provide unique experiences for students in a variety of art forms, including dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual art. Take, for example, a STEAM residency in a 2nd grade classroom where students worked with a visual artist to demonstrate their understanding of circuitry by creating wire sculptures that actually lit up. In the 2017-18 school year, Right Brain facilitated this kind of learning for nearly 30,000 students in 70 schools from 8 school districts located in a variety of urban, suburban, and rural communities. So what impact has this approach had on student learning? A 2014 report provides evidence of a correlation between a school's engagement with Right Brain and student achievement. This 5-year study analyzed student scores on Oregon standardized tests in reading and math that showed average annual increases more than doubled each year. And for English language learners, their English proficiency scores increased 10 to 20 times the annual average. To illustrate, let's quickly visit a 1st grade classroom where 50% of the students were English language learners. A pre-test revealed that half of the class recognized 3 or fewer letters of the alphabet. Working with a musician, students were introduced to musical sounds as they studied the alphabet. Instead of just reciting the letter B, for example, they would rap B, B, and could even identify letters that she had not yet taught. Just imagine 6-year-olds beatboxing their way through the alphabet, and you can imagine this classroom. Most remarkable is that a post-test revealed that 80% of students doubled their letter recognition, and 1 child jumped from identifying 2 letters to recognizing 20. We think of it this way: learning in the arts is hands-on and minds-on. Or as one kindergartner aptly put it, I just love math dancing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parker, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Fox, Ranking Member Scott, and members of this committee. I'd also like to thank Congressman Allen, who before serving as our congressman, mentored our community of entrepreneurs, including myself. It is with a deep sense of honor that I sit before you today representing the activities of our organization and the growth that we help foster in Georgia's 12th District, South Carolina's 2nd District, and beyond. I'm Eric Parker. I'm an Augusta native, a Georgia Tech graduate, an architect, and an entrepreneur. In 2012, I founded a nonprofit organization called The Clubhouse. Our mission is to inspire ideas, create companies, and build community by connecting learners and leaders in technology, business, and design. To help you understand our organization's work and why it matters, it helps to start with my own story. Like many young people from smaller cities, I was convinced that making my mark in the world meant leaving my hometown. After college, I moved to Silicon Valley. I started an architecture firm and worked with the top research and technology companies of the world. I thrived in a culture of technology and entrepreneurship, managing over $100 million of construction projects. Then 2008 happened. In the week after Lehman Brothers collapsed, all but one of my clients put their project on hold. This precipitated my move back to Augusta, Georgia. I was angry and lost. I felt let down by the American dream. I faced a turning point to be angry and complain about the situation or take control and create the opportunities I craved. Our work is based on the belief that entrepreneurship is a vital part of America's promise, a central means of securing our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In other words, don't wait for someone to give you a job you don't want when you can create the one you do. So in 2012, I convinced a small group of makers, hackers, artists, and entrepreneurs to form a club where we would meet, collaborate, and work on the things we thought were interesting. Since then, we've helped build 59 companies that have created 155 jobs in our community. We partner with Augusta Technical College for a code boot camp funded by the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. The Ewing, Marion Kauffman Foundation supports Startup Life, a year-long 24/7 business accelerator, which includes education, office space, and room and board for entrepreneurs. In partnership with Augusta University and funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, we've developed a 5-city mesh network of innovation, linking collaborative workspaces in mid-sized communities to stimulate startups focused on improving health factors in their communities, such as childhood poverty, education, housing, food, and physical inactivity. The companies we support are diverse. 2/3 of our entrepreneurs are women, minorities, or veterans. Their companies include educational robotics, agricultural drones, microlending, email security, virtual reality, email management software, and encryption devices. We benefit from our proximity to 2 major federal investments, Army Cyber Command at Fort Gordon and Savannah River National Lab. Given today's technology, we can make virtually anything and can reach customers anywhere in the world. Yet the innovation economy has clustered its activity in fewer and fewer places. Growing entrepreneurs requires a cultural shift in our education system. We believe that our work helps develop the entrepreneurs needed to make every district economically competitive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Carlisle, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Chairman Fox, Ranking Member Scott, and members of the Education Workforce Committee, thank you for holding this hearing today. I come before you today to highlight an innovative educational model in a small town, Georgia, that has demonstrated proven success. As the CEO of Think College and Career Academy, I welcome the opportunity to share our experiences and expertise with this committee. Think exists in one of the most rapidly growing economic development regions in the state of Georgia, with over $1 billion in committed economic development in 2017 alone. Our region is forecasted to require an additional 6,000 jobs in the next 5 years. This is in addition to an average hire rate by existing businesses and industry of over 1,600 employees annually. Think College and Career Academy is a public charter program. We also have a Georgia nonprofit corporation located in LaGrange, Georgia. We were created by a diverse public-private partnership in 2012 and 2013. Think opened in 2015-16 with 500 students, and we're slated to have 800 high school students this term coming up in 2018-19. We use waivers granted by a charter through the state of Georgia to deliver creative and innovative career tech in STEM, healthcare, business and marketing programs, as well as academic courses. So what's different? Unlike traditional high schools, Think is held accountable for student success, long after graduation. The school's administration and governing board focus on systems to ensure that students execute career plans beyond high school. At the core of our model is the student, wrapped in a multitude of innovative supports stimulated by a learning environment and a culture of business. The profile of a Think student has 4 elements: a plan for post-secondary, a continuum of career experiences. They are engaged locally, connected globally, and they are articulate, driven, and ready. So what's really different? We are led by a Think board. We have a board made up of business, employers, community, and college representatives. We have a nonprofit that has collected over $10 million in public and private donations to open our academy. We have over 60 individuals and companies that are working daily, side by side, with our students. We provide an average of $1,000 per student to supplement the state funds received from the school system. So what do we do with all that money? Well, we did a lot of renovation to open our academy, but we also provide extra professional development, student support, technology beyond what they would have in the public sector. We actually spent $800,000 developing a new and innovative science and math lab. We also have flexibility that we use with personnel. We hire individuals with industry credentials, with real-world experience. We bring them in the classroom, and we use that. We also use a competitive salary rubric. So we provide salaries outside of what's normally given in the school system. So we use also our flexibility. We just developed the first international business pathway for the state of Georgia. We have soft skills. All of our students receive 30% of their grade is based on soft skills that's developed by our employers. So each week they receive that grade. What's
Ms. Grassi,
happening?
I'm going to need to ask you to finish up because you're
Did I go over? Oh, but
way over time.
It says 1 minute for the second. So
You're
thank you
over a
very
minute.
much. So we do basically do everything by wraparound services from our employers and our community, which provides a different environment for our students. Yeah, it just kept going on and on.
Thank you. We don't have any bells to ring. We can try that.
Thank you.
Ms. Grassi, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Chairwoman Fox, Vice Chair Wilson, and Ranking Member Scott. My name is Dr. Anne-Marie Grassi, and I am the founding Chief Executive Officer of Open Doors Academy, or ODA, as we like to call it. I would like you to remember 3 numbers today: 100, 97, 49,760. ODA is not a charter school. We are Ohio's highest performing out-of-school time program. We partner with public schools and charter schools to elevate kids out of intergenerational poverty. We believe that education is the key to breaking that cycle. Poverty and all the things that fuel it work against our children's success, both in the classroom and in life. The traditional school day, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., late August through May, is not sufficient to address all the issues of poverty. Schools are working very hard, but kids need more. So we have developed a unique model of out-of-school time programming. ODA has operationalized the adage, "It takes a village to raise a child." We combine partnerships with schools and communities, family engagement, a continuum of programming, and strong adult peer relationships. It takes the situation of poverty and gives you something dramatically different. 100, that is the first number. 100% of ODA scholars who complete 3 years of our middle school program graduate from high school. That is not what we have come to expect from children born into poverty, but we at ODA hold our scholars to higher standards, and they prove that with consistent support, they can achieve the same things as their peers from affluent communities. Our model is intentionally designed to support the whole child, focusing on the soft skills necessary to thrive in the workforce. Here's that second number, 97. 97% of ODA scholars have gone on to pursue and complete a post-secondary program. And where are they now? To name just a few, Michelle Williams is in her 2nd year of veterinary school. Courtney Gilliam is a union welder with over 25 certifications. Donald Thomas is an officer in the United States Air Force. And Mason Adkins is an app developer who just opened his own bike shop. All 4 of these ODA alumni grew up under difficult circumstances. None of them had to graduate from high school. Many of them would not have. The difference in each situation was that ODA and our team was there each time to coach them, challenge them, and support them on the right path. Now, here comes that third and final number. ODA's post-secondary alumni now have an average salary of $49,760. It represents their movement out of poverty and ODA's impact in their lives. Chairwoman Fox, ODA and our model of out-of-school time is doing amazing work. But across the country, out-of-school time is undervalued and underutilized for what it can contribute to the workforce and to our kids' future. Out-of-school time is largely underfunded, and it is not accepted as a professional field of education. But there is a huge opportunity for change, and I am here today to discuss that opportunity with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terry Smith, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Fox, and thank you, Congressman Rowe. I really appreciate it. It's a great honor to be here with you today. Our Bartleby program, Elizabethton High School, Elizabethton City Schools, has been chosen one of the 18 XQ super schools across the United States, and we've been able to achieve that through developing ourselves in our schools, spreading throughout Elizabethton High School and throughout the school district, Elizabethton City Schools, and also developing an online program throughout the state of Tennessee. With that, we've received a grant that's coming up, $2.3 million from the XQ Institute and Emerson Collective, and we've produced a handbook for you that's digitally, but we also have copies of these afterwards at the table if you'd like. What I'd like to speak about is the 3 primary concepts that I believe that you could take to your districts and get schools to actually be able to reproduce and what really is our focus. We have all the details in the handbook, but these 3 areas are complete buy-in from the district. It starts out, Dr. Corey Gardenhauer is with me today, our superintendent, fantastic job. He and I have a tremendous relationship, and so we work together. Anything we can dream up, we can create, and because you have it from the top, and that leadership, the tremendous leadership that he has from the top, it spreads out through the school board, through the central offices, through the administration, the school teachers, and the students. And so a lot of schools have the red tape and the bureaucracy, but I think it's really important to start at the district level. Secondly, our students must be allowed to get out and see the real world opportunities and open the outside world to them to get them prepared for the 21st century. And so we go out into our communities and create partnerships. We have 19 groups of people that we partner with. We have an appendix that I sent to you digitally, and those 19 partnership groups, some of those are public and private colleges and universities, community and technical colleges, regional corporations and businesses, local political leaders, business leaders, community leaders, mayors, city council, regional tourist and economic development organizations, state of Tennessee, Department of Education, educational foundations with online platforms, our own school board and central office, and XQ Institute, and our alumni. All of these 19 partnerships allow us to create real-world opportunities so our students can grow. They provide mentorships, guest speakers, partnerships in projects, boards, entrepreneurship boards. The third primary concept is we put a lot of focus on written and oral communication and really be able to speak and present. And in today's world of social media and technology, students don't get an opportunity, so it really creates a difference for our students. We have amazing results. Our students are invited all over the country to speak. They just came back from San Francisco at a conference, a school conference there. They've been spoke up here in the spring at Washington, at Tusculum University, at Career Quest. And so with so many jobs changing over the course in the future, flexibility is really necessary. And so that allows, it's not only just presenting skills, but also group discussion skills, one-on-one conversational skills, emotional intelligence that goes into that. And we've opened up the community, and by opening the community and then having great communication skills, it grows together. And so in conclusion, those 3 are the primary concepts that then allow us to build our foundation, which you could take back to your schools, to your districts, and be able to build that. And then they would then take their uniqueness of demographics or whatever to make slight adjustments to add to that. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It's a tremendous honor, and you all do a fantastic job.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Ms. Bonamici, let me recognize you for your questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you. What a fabulous panel. Especially thank you, Marna, for being here. I'm so thrilled that you're here representing Oregon. And we have a lot of challenging issues facing our country and our planet, and we need to be educating students who can come up with new ideas and inventions and find new ways to solve problems. I noticed some similarity with what Mr. Parker was saying when he said he got together makers, hackers, artists, and entrepreneurs. That's why I support STEAM rather than STEM education, and that's why I've been advocating for making sure that all students have access to a well-rounded education that includes the arts so we can have these creative problem solvers. And I know the Right Brain Initiative is working on arts integration to help educate students to be those creative members of our community. So we only have 3 minutes, so can you tell us a little bit about how this idea started, how it evolved, and what it means? You talk on your website about the right brain effect. And then I want to have one more quick question at the end.
Sure. Well, the thinking for the Right Brain Initiative began in about 2005, 2006. And I know you're aware that in Oregon we had a significant tax measure, property tax limitation measure that passed in 1990. And since that time, the arts have been severely cut from schools. We noticed, too, that as No Child Left Behind was implemented, the narrowing of the curriculum, if you will, that, again, the arts were kind of sidelined. So we approached school districts and said, we're interested in seeing how the arts, along with our arts community, stepped up in a big way. How can we help affect that? How can we help change the way students learn and still address the needs that you have? The district said one of our top priorities is literacy, and the arts can play a significant role there. So we worked close, hand in hand with school districts to meet their needs. It was not about us coming in and say, have we got the answer for you? But rather, how can we work collaboratively? So with the arts community by our side, partnering with our school districts, our local government, the city of Portland stepped up, and our 3 counties in the region stepped up and said, let's work together on this. So we designed an initiative based on a model through a lot of research that we did. We involved the community. And I think that's one of the reasons for our success is that we have continued to foster those relationships and keep people in the conversation with us.
Can you talk in the remaining time about how you work with teachers and how you talked about the success and showing why this makes a difference with students? How do you measure that?
So in working with teachers through our professional development, certainly, but we also go into classrooms. We actually interview students. We get examples of in students' words, how they're thinking differently, being willing to take risks, trying out something new, coming at it a new way, working with classmates. We also do teacher survey every year, and in that we know that teachers are saying that's the way students are thinking, the questions they're asking, the way they're seeing other people's opinions and perspectives, and appreciating those. So the test score data that we have certainly points to the student achievement question. So I think we can call that an answer, and I'm happy to add more if you'd like, because I've got plenty.
Unfortunately, I'm out of time, and I yield back. Thank you very much. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Bonamici. Dr. Rowe, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Madam Chairman, I think I'm going to cry foul here for a second. We talk slower from the South, so we should get an extra minute, okay? I want to thank Mr. Smith for being here and shout out one famous alum of Elizabethton High School, Jason Witten, who is an all-pro tight end at the Dallas Cowboys, just retired. His brother Sean is a coach of the Elizabethton Cyclones. Those gentlemen have given back to their community, and I want to give a shout out to both of those. They truly have. Mr. Smith, in your testimony, you mentioned specific details of the Bartleby projects being addressed in the Bartleby Program Handbook. In reviewing these materials I did last night, I saw that the program was initially proposed by 23 students at Elizabethton High School. What prompted their action?
What happened, there was a grant contest, and it was XQ Institute was doing it nationwide, and our students, our teachers encouraged our students to do it, and the students did it on their own and came up and applied for a grant. And they really wanted to redesign high school, and they wanted to be allowed to follow their passions and create a positive force in the community. And so they put in an application, really did the work primarily themselves, and were able to then secure a $200,000 grant from the XQ Institute.
Hey, why you're doing so important. During this last recession, between 2010 and 2014, there are 3,100 counties in the United States. 20 of them, 20, made up half the new business formation in this entire country. And rural America is being left behind. 60% of counties in America lost businesses in the last, that's why what all of you are doing is so important in rural America. It's my understanding that as a part of the XQ grant that helped create the Bartleby program, each of those students received a college scholarship.
Yes, that is correct, Congressman Rowe. They actually received a scholarship from the XQ Institute, but then we've carried that forward, and I go out, and Dr. Gardenhauer goes with me often, and we go and speak to college presidents and vice presidents, and we've created scholarships from the colleges that they tens of thousands of dollars to each student by going through the whole Bartleby program. And there's 12 credits they have to get for the Bartleby program, and by accomplishing that, University of Tennessee was one of the reasons they asked for that, to have a stamp on their transcript, the diploma, so that they would be able to see they were a Bartleby student, because the colleges have that much respect for what we do.
Lastly, I want to thank all of y'all for being here, being here with us today. And I have just one final question. What advice for creating partnerships with colleges and universities would you give other schools seeking to replicate the Bartleby? In other words, is it scalable?
Yes, it definitely is. And we go out and meet with all the colleges and universities, with the presidents, vice presidents, and really create win-win situations for those colleges, because they have it's an opportunity for them to get great students. They really admire our students. They invite them for presentations and everything there to everyone. Also, retention is such a difficulty right now in colleges. And so by having these students that are really real-world experience, it allows them to have retention of knowing they're going to get students they're going to retain. But the three primary concepts that I spoke about really is how you can duplicate it with the buy-in from the district, open up the outside world to students with the 19 partnership groups, and then the communication skills.
Thank you. I yield back, Chairman Fox. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. Representative Fudge, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Thank you all so much for being here today. It's been a very good panel. We don't have a lot of those in this committee. Let me especially thank Dr. Grassi for the work that you do for the children that I serve every day in Ohio's 11th District. I have 3 questions for you. I'm going to ask you all of them because we have 3 minutes. You can answer them in any order you choose. The first is, 100% is certainly a number we don't hear very often. What is it that you do that makes your program so successful? Number 2, in your testimony, you talk about receiving funding from the 21st Century Community Learning Center program. Can you just elaborate a bit on how you leverage federal dollars and what you could do if we put more money into that program? The floor is yours.
Thank you, and Congressman Fudge, thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and thank you for the work you do for our children in the communities we serve. To answer your first question, 100% high school graduation, I want to be clear, there's no magic. It is pure perseverance and grit. We are talking about children. Children are not widgets. You can't just put them on a path and expect them to go the direction you want for 10, 15 years. You have to shape and develop them, and that means simply investing time, effort, and energy, and utilizing the mantra that we believe at ODA, which is simply, you don't give up. And when the kid strays, you find them and you bring them back, and you keep persevering until you get them to that finish line. And that is the core of who we are and what we do. Regarding the 21st century funding, I love the second part of that question, and I will heartily answer that. But you know, we work in partnership with schools, so we collaborate with schools that typically do not have a lot of funding. So we seek out the 21st Century Grant, and the school partners with us by providing us things such as access to data, janitorial services, keeping the school open for longer hours, allowing us office space, working in the school, and so forth. So we partner that effort with the grant from 21st Century, which is approximately in the state of Ohio, $200,000 a year for the first 3 years, and then it waivers off. And we use that funding to build the program forward and then work with foundations, corporations, and individuals across the community to leverage and build further upon that when those decline. With added funding, we would be able to serve a lot more kids. Funding is the single greatest barrier to being able to access and work with more students. The cost of the program is approximately $4,000 per year per child. It's about the third of the cost of the educational system, and we provide equal number of hours to kids as they do receive in a 9 to 3 or 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. school day. So being able to leverage more dollars means being able to serve more kids, not only in the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County, but across the country.
Thank you very much for your work. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Fudge. Representative Allen, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Eric, it's an honor to have you represent the clubhouse and the Augusta innovation community before Congress today. I have so many fond memories of our time meeting together and talking about what could be some 10 years ago. Who would believe that, and you inspired me, that I'd be sitting here and you'd be sitting there today. Back in that time we were discussing what it could be. You moved from Silicon Valley, and I tell my folks in the 12th District, we're going to be the Silicon Valley of the East Coast, and you deserve a great deal of credit for that. In fact, we just cut the ribbon on $100 million of construction of new innovation and technology centers that our governor and our legislature funded that is unlike anything in the United States, in this nation. So with that, you talked about how you created the clubhouse, and I know there were a lot of challenges. What was your biggest challenge in getting Clubhouse off the ground and where it is today?
So the biggest challenge really was establishing enough credibility to get the support that we needed to make it possible. And so in some ways, I think that challenge also created the resilience that we have, because we are 100% an entrepreneur-led nonprofit, and we're very focused on how we generate earned revenue to sustain the work that we do. But even establishing the partnerships in a community can be a challenge when you're this new kid on the block trying to make that change. And so really, doing the work in a persistent way for probably 3 years before anyone ever said, you know what, I don't think that gnat is going to go away. I'm going to pay attention to it. And then we've started to really thrive once the partnerships have been established.
Yeah. Well, I congratulate you on that success. Tell us a little bit about your interaction. We have the new Cyber Center for Excellence. We're going to be the Cyber Center of Excellence for the United States Army there at Fort Gordon and Augusta, and some of the possibilities of the or really how the public-private partnership is working together there.
Yeah, so the state of Georgia invested $100 million to create the Cyber Center. It's in partnership with the Georgia Technology Authority, Augusta University, and Augusta Technical College. We have been brought in also as a partner on that to manage the innovation space related to that. And so our goal is to take the activities that happen between all these public institutions and investments and translate that into further growing the startup ecosystem. So we plan to further our work with the Augusta Technical College through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act to expand a lot of our programs in there.
Yes, and please read Eric's his comments as far as his introduction is concerned. It gives a lot of feedback about the boot camp, and I congratulate you on your great success, Eric. Great to have you with us.
Appreciate it.
I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Mr. Ferguson, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Dr. Carlisle, thank you so much for being here today. It's really exciting to have someone from the homeland up here sharing the good news. I'm going to be very brief because I want you to take some time answering these questions. Can you talk a little bit about the unique structure of the Think College and Career Academy Charter School being part of the county school system, not separate from it, the integration with West Georgia Technical College, the physical co-location, and then if you could just make a comment on the diversity of the students that come into Thinking College and Career Academy.
Very excited to be here. Thank you. So with Think College and Career Academy, the first thing that's unique about us is we're kind of shaped like Google. So we are very different, very unique, and we're inside of the technical college. So we have about 60,000 square feet inside of the technical college, and what that does, we live in an area where only 25% of the population has a college degree. So we're still dealing with first-generation college students. So if you can just imagine a very diverse population population of students, ranging from students that are in special education to students that are at risk to students that are going to Georgia Tech. They're all in this environment inside of this innovative space within our technical college. And what it does is it helps them to have a plan of success. So we have kids that come in the school system, we work with them, they have a bus, the kids come to Think on the college campus. They can walk down the hall and take college classes during the day along with their high school. They're gaining college certificates, they're taking academic courses, and they're getting ready for success after they graduate. And so we do that all in partnership with our school system, and it's wrapped around by our employers and our communities, infusing all of their support.
So talk just a little bit about the socioeconomic diversity of those students. I think a lot of times people think, okay, this is a charter school, it's a fairly limited number of students that come in there. You make just a brief comment. I've got one more question.
So, and we get asked that question a lot because most people think that we have only the best students, and that is not true. So with our students, we look just like the school system. We have about 69% of our students are on free and reduced lunch. We have 7% of our students have a GPA of below 2%. So we are very diverse, and we want to be that way. We don't want to have just one certain population of students. So again, we look just like our school system.
Thank you. I think it's pretty remarkable to all of you, to the previous panel, as we sit here and listen to this, that we're working so hard to find innovative solutions to overcome the barriers that we put in place of our students. These innovative ideas should become the rule, not the exception. With that, Madam Chairman, I will yield back.
Thank you very much. That thought runs through my mind a lot, too. We have all this wonderful innovation. How come it's not being adopted more broadly? Well, I want to thank our second panel members for coming in. You've given us a lot of ideas here, a lot of quiet talking back and forth, and we appreciate you so much. We're now going to dismiss you all and then ask the third panel if they would take your places. So thank you again for coming, and we'll see you down in the forum. Showcase. See, it's so innovative, I can't remember the names.
Same thing, forum, showcase.
This is Wednesday in Washington, D.C., which means that it's extremely busy time. So my colleague, Mr. Guthrie, is going to take the chair, as we say, and introduce you all. And I will be back in a little while after I go to a couple of other things that are being demanded. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So switching out, so moving forward. So I want to introduce our distinguished innovators of panel 3. Joe Luther is with Central Pennsylvania Institute of Science and Technology. Derek Kualapi?
Got it.
Kualapi.
Thank you.
Is the United Association of Plumbers and Steamfitters. Joe Bardo is with Wichita State University. And Ed Seidel is with the Office of Economic Development Innovation at the University of Illinois. Before I recognize you to provide your testimony, let me briefly remind you of our lighting system. We allow 3 minutes for each innovator to present testimony. When you begin, the light in front of you will turn green. When 1 minute is left, it will turn yellow. And at the 3-minute mark, it will turn red. At that point, we'll ask you to just wrap up your testimony. Members will each have 3 minutes to ask questions of each panelist. So now I'll recognize you for, first go with the testimony. So for testimony, Mr. Luther, you are recognized for 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Good morning, Chairwoman Fox, Ranking Member Scott, and members of the House Committee on Education and Workforce.
First, allow me to thank you for inviting me to speak to the House Committee on Education and the Workforce Innovation Forum and Showcase. I'm honored and humbled to be in front of you at this moment. My story into education is one that was not supposed to be. There was no way I was ever going to be an educator. The famous artist Vincent van Gogh once said, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." A series of small things is what brought me into education. My name is Joe Luther, and I'm currently the horticulture and landscaping instructor at the Central PA Institute of Science and Technology, located in Pleasant Gap, Center County, Pennsylvania. Prior to becoming a teacher, I owned and operated a landscape company in which I started at the age of 17. From there, the business was going well. There was something missing, and I could not figure out what was missing until 2009 when I applied for a position as a landscape teacher at CPI. 2014, I was named the ACTE New Career and Technical Teacher of the Year for Pennsylvania, and this past December, I was awarded the National Career and Technical Teacher of the Year by NOCTI. While at CPI, my classes completed numerous real-life hands-on projects. Each year, we partner with EP Henry, which is a national hardscape manufacturer, and their Heroscaping program. We've completed projects for 2 local Center County veterans at their personal homes and 3 community projects. To date, the largest project was in honor of Foster Joseph Sayers, which included a 1,200 square foot patio paver and retaining walls to form the shape of the Keystone, Pennsylvania Keystone. Through our partnership with them, we have placed first the last 4 consecutive years at the Pennsylvania Farm Show in the large landscape displays, and we have taken second nationally in the National Landscape Build-Off held in Springfield, Massachusetts. By doing these type of projects, my students are receiving the best hands-on type of education there is. They design, they build, and maintain these projects each and every year. My classroom is not just about working on projects. I give my students every opportunity to speak using various literacy strategies throughout the day. They have to greet the customer, inform the customer, and ultimately sell the job. We take the ordinary classroom curriculum and transform it into real-life scenarios, at times full of every challenge possible. But that is what builds the future workforce. As we look to the future, we must start to think about career and technical education as a great option for students. There are many success stories that start with a solid foundation in CTE, and career and technical education gives students many opportunities to succeed, change their life, and become a productive member of society, in which we desperately need for the future workforce in America.
Thank you for your testimony. Now, Mr. Kualapai, you're recognized for 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Good morning, Education and Workforce Committee members. My name is Derek Kualapai. I'm the business manager of United Association Plumbers and Steamfitters Local Union 342, located in Concord, California. In addition to my primary role as business manager, I wear quite a few hats in labor in the state of California. And as a result of those hats, I'm able to see the big picture of skilled labor, the results, the benefits of training programs like ours, and the benefits of overall contribution to the communities. Contra Costa County is the 4th wealthiest county and the 5th largest economy in the world. It is no secret that wages in the Bay Area, particularly in the East Bay, are among the highest in the nation. It is not an easy place to make middle-class wages, even with a college education. One might think that having a career in construction would not be an ideal choice, especially living in the Bay Area. However, I'm here to tell you otherwise. Joining the unionized construction industry is one of the best choices a person can make when looking for a career, and it is a great alternative for those who do not have their sights set on college. One of our biggest kept secrets is apprenticeship. We recruit applicants from local high schools, community colleges, and the general public. But what we're also doing is implementing direct entry to apprenticeship programs for participants from pre-apprenticeship programs in disenfranchised areas, as well as our returning military veterans who are seeking a pathway into the middle class. Many people do not understand that apprenticeship is essentially free. Our apprentices members earn while they learn, and a typical program in California is 5 years in the form of 3-hour classes 2 nights each week. Their schooling is in addition to on-the-job training received while working 40-plus hours a week in the field for a contractor. And upon completion of the program, the apprentice graduates with a certificate of completion from the state of California and continue their career with us as journeymen. In today's world, the best way for us to succeed in the building trades is to include the contractors and the clients in the decision-making process by participating in what we call tripartite. The union, the contractor, and the client can all be at the same table to discuss planning, implementation, and successful completion of a construction project. We know three things. The unions want and need their members to make a livable wage that ultimately can be reinvested back into the community, that contractors want and need skilled and trained employees who add value to the company that they own, and all end users want and need skilled and trained workers who will provide for a safe construction project. To fulfill these needs, a symbiotic relationship of mutual appreciation is vital. Union contractors in the Bay Area are thriving, and the key to success is that the contractors and clients see the value of hiring skilled and trained employees. There's a phenomenon happening right now in the West Coast in that hundreds of contractors are coming to the western states to take advantage of the skilled and trained manpower pool. Contractors want to turn a profit, and they're doing so because of the skilled and trained workforce that is delivering construction projects on time, under budget, and without incident. In California, we have a skilled and trained workforce of 450,000 members, including 60,000 apprentices that are middle-class families living, working, and reinvesting back into the community. Clients such as Chevron, Tesla, and Facebook are now included in the planning processes of these construction projects they may have. Clients want a construction project that's safe, built on time, and under budget. To ensure this happens, they get a seat at the table and are a part of the decision-making process. By implementing tripartite, educating contractors on the value of skilled and trained workers, and instituting strong apprenticeship programs like the one at my home local in Concord, California, we are leading the state of California in apprenticeship. With the use of the latest innovative technologies and practical hands-on training, I am pleased to announce that through this way of doing business, we have increased our membership by about 15% in the last year and a half, with 7 new contractors that have brought nearly 600 new members and new market share to our home local. We are expecting continuous growth for the foreseeable future, and to accommodate this growth, we have expanded our training center with an additional 30,000 square feet of training space to our brand-new state-of-the-art training facility.
Thanks, Mr. Gallipot. Can we, 3 minutes goes by quick.
Thank you for your time and opportunity to share with you what's happening
Thank you
in
very
labor
much.
across the country.
Appreciate it. Mr. Bardo, you're recognized for 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you, Representative Guthrie, and I will be very, very brief and highlight 4 things for you. At Wichita State University, we take looking to the future very seriously, and our mission is to provide the best applied education possible for all of our students, regardless of major. We also are working very hard to be a major resource for area industry and business. And in aviation research, we are now ranked by National Science Foundation as the #1 industry-funded aviation research center in the United States. We broke $100 million this year. So it gives you a sense of what we're trying to accomplish. This year also, we amalgamated with the local technical college. They are now Wichita State University Tech. And our goal there is to be able to offer everything from the GED to the PhD. We want people to be able to come in, come out, and get the education that they need to help the community, to improve employment, and to help their families. In an effort to try to really make the institution available to people, we have created what may be the first series of 4 credit badges available at universities in the United States. We've broken down now this fall 68 different courses into half-credit increments so that students can come in, take a short course. Now think about if you're a 30-year-old woman, divorced with 3 kids, trying to keep the family together, how do you commit to 15 weeks for 4 years to get a degree, but you may be able to get someone to watch your kids for a long weekend to begin getting that education? This gets on the transcript, and it creates a record, and it creates credentials for the student that then can continue to build over time and help that student have a better life. Third, we also are focusing on apprenticeships for 4-year students. And what that means is that we are moving businesses to our campus, and students are working while they're in school in real projects dealing with everything from the military to redesign of aircraft. And in fact, we just had a team return from the Farnborough Air Show, and one of the companies that partners with us, their entire display was on the work that our faculty and students are doing with them. So fundamentally, what Wichita State is attempting to do is to focus on the future, focus on competitiveness of the Midwest, assure that our students all graduate with the kind of education that can help them achieve their goals and help the state of Kansas and therefore the United States be competitive. Thank you very much for having me here today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Sato. You're recognized for 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you for inviting me to speak today on behalf of the University of Illinois System and the Discovery Partners Institute, or the DPI. As a land-grant institution, it is our mission to educate the citizens of the state of Illinois. We also aim to retain and attract the best student and corporate talent. Innovation is key, and it's vital to the success of today's companies. It drives the national economy as its largest engine of economic development and prosperity. The DPI is our new initiative that will deeply intertwine research, education, and innovation in a new vision for the land-grant university in the 21st century. Achieving this vision rests on the alignment of higher education with industry-leading companies to accelerate the pace of innovation and create a more robust workforce. The DPI will bring together the brightest minds from our best universities, companies, and world-renowned international partners to develop technologies that change industries, connect entrepreneurs with venture capital, and spur economic growth throughout our state and beyond. DPI has already gained broad support with endorsements from both our governor and the mayor of Chicago and a $500 million capital appropriation from the legislature. Illinois is an international innovation leader already. Our faculty have invented the transistor. Our students have invented the web browser, for example. DPI's new model will enable us to do even better. It will be led by the University of Illinois System, which has campuses in Urbana-Champaign, Chicago, and in Springfield. Northwestern and the University of Chicago are founding partners, while Tel Aviv University, which is Israel's largest university and a global leader in entrepreneurship, is our first international partner. Top faculty from such great institutions will gather at DPI to conduct research, teach students side by side with corporations, tackling grand challenges and finding breakthroughs that improve society. Themes will include computing and data, food and agriculture, health and wellness, environment and water, with an emphasis on maximizing impact on culture and society, on public policy, education and workforce, and entrepreneurship and technology commercialization. Academic partnerships have been around for decades, but DPI's marriage of top researchers and students from multiple universities with businesses of all sizes and entrepreneurs is the game-changing combination. DPI will be an environment where companies leverage immense faculty and student brainpower to fuel their innovation and development. A setting where students can help tackle industry's biggest challenges before they even graduate, and an atmosphere where faculty are inspired to do cutting-edge research and develop innovations that will improve the way we all live and work. DPI will be one of the nation's largest collaborative environments for innovation. Home to hundreds of faculty, thousands of students, and dozens of business partners, it will be just one hub in the Illinois Innovation Network, or IIN, which will transmit innovation to every corner of our state. Together, DPI and IIN will be the University of Illinois System's new realization of the land-grant mission for the 21st century and will drive innovation and economic growth across our state. Thank you, and I look forward to answering questions.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate that. That concludes all the opening statements. And I will now recognize Mr. Thompson of Pennsylvania for 3 minutes for questions.
Chairman, thank you. I want to say thank you to the chairman and ranking member for hosting this forum. I want to just an appropriate time. We're within an hour here. We're going to be taking hopefully what looks like will be the last step on HR 2353, really reforming career and technical education, transforming it. Within an hour, we'll be on the House floor, taking that final step before it goes to President Trump's desk. I want to thank all the panelists for being here. Joe, really proud to have you here. Thank you for your leadership, your service, just the difference you make in the lives of so many. And thank you for being here. Really, you're here representing all of those colleagues of yours working in career and technical education that are transforming lives. You know what? Last night at dinner, you were sharing 2 stories with me. Wonder if you'd share those again here about 2 students. One that was one of your students, a young lady, I think, with Down syndrome, perhaps, that was in the landscaping, and another one, a young man who was not in your program, but one that you, kind of helped on the side that was in the welding program.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Like last night at dinner, as we were sharing, I had a student with Down syndrome who was in my program, and this student was she was always there. She always showed up on time. She always was just phenomenal in the greenhouse, and we ended up getting her employed at a local Center County greenhouse, and they absolutely just love her there. She's a full-time employee. She's a productive member of society. She's out working day in and day out, and it is just truly a phenomenal situation that we're able to bring, those students who may have just thought that, maybe I don't need to work or I don't need to do something, but here she's out, she's working, she's employable, all those things because of career and technical education. And the second story, there was a welding student who I got to know fairly well, and he was not in my program, but we talked back and forth a little bit. And this student left, he got on with a pipeline. And he's a welder. He runs with Marcellus Shale. He runs installing pipeline across the Northeast, basically. And this student had difficulty in normal education, in reading, in writing, English, math, those problems. But this kid was one heck of a welder. He was phenomenal when it came to welding. And he landed in a pipeline making more money than us as teachers are making currently. So that's the benefits of CTE, and you say he's basically laughing the whole way back to the bank when it comes down to it.
I think Charity came back after his first year on the job, and with all the hard work, no doubt about it, high skill level, a lot of overtime, and his first year was north of probably $180,000.
Yes.
Yeah. I yield back.
Wow. I always said everybody's smart in their own way. We just got to find it and celebrate it and promote it. So I'll now recognize Ms. Bonamici for 3 minutes for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And unfortunately, Representative Krishnamurthy had to leave. So I have some questions for Dr. Seidel. Thank you for being here. This was another great panel here this morning. Dr. Seidel, I serve not only on the Education and Workforce Committee, but also on the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. So I know that intellectual property rights can sometimes be a significant issue when it comes to research and development. So how will the Discovery Partners Institute, or how is it, navigating IP issues, considering that it's a university working together with businesses?
So thank you very much for the question. The university has policies around intellectual property that it carries out on its individual campuses, but the DPI, as a collaboratory for different universities to come together, will have a different model. And so it will be one that will be rather flexible, where we will work with companies, and depending on the project and what it may bring, we will negotiate different models for IP. But normally universities tend to hold on to the IP very strongly, except for the fact that students, undergraduate students, typically are able to retain their own IP. But in this case, when we have collaborative projects where we're really deeply doing research and development with companies, where you may change the entire business model of a company due to artificial intelligence or who knows what sort of new technologies will come along, we will work to find the right model with companies individually.
Terrific. Thank you for your work. You mentioned your relationship with Tel Aviv University. Can you talk about the value of not only that, but similar international partnerships?
International partnerships are really important for us. We're very proud of the intellectual assets that we have around Illinois with University of Chicago, Northwestern University, Argonne National Lab, University of Illinois. We don't think it's sufficient for what we really want to be able to do. So just as an example, we have developing collaborations with groups in Germany, the Helmholtz Association, for example, and universities there. We've just come back from an international visit. In fact, I haven't quite gotten home yet from a trip to the Middle East. in Israel and also in Jordan. And as an example, in Jordan, I just met yesterday or the day before with a biotech entrepreneur who has a PhD from Cambridge University and thought that the camel might provide a new method for providing treatments for things like acne because of the antibodies in the camel that are unique. And so that's the kind of thing that you wouldn't think of if you're from Chicago, Boston, or San Francisco.
How true. How long do students typically spend at DPI?
Well, we're just getting started. The first classes are getting started now, but we anticipate undergraduates spending a semester or a year, graduate students spending potentially their entire PhD thesis development at the site.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for your testimony as well as the rest of the panel and everyone today. This has been a great discussion, and I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for those questions. Chair now recognizes Representative Estes from Kansas for 3 minutes for questions.
I'll take 5 minutes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's so many wonderful things going on with Wichita State University. It's hard to talk about the things that are happening with the aviation community or just in general, this innovation things we go create. And in the 3 minutes we have, I've got a couple of quick questions I'd like to figure out. And you mentioned Wichita State University Tech, which is a combination of Wichita State and the Wichita Area Technical College. Can you talk a little bit about how that you've merged those organizations? What kind of additional programs are together again, and how's that seen what results we've seen out of that?
Thank you very much, Representative Estes. That is officially, we cut the ribbon on that about a week ago. And what we're doing is we're asking the regions to approve a Bachelor of Applied Science degree at the university. The Technical College offers an Associate of Applied Science. And so we now are joint planning a whole array of programs. We created a Bachelor of Applied Arts last year focused on animation and computing. And when we went to the regions, they said, oh, well, we expect about 35 students. They opened with 60. This fall, they'll have 162. So what we're finding is when you aim the program at the needs of the student and you aim at the needs of the community, you get the enrollment, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things we talked about earlier was combining engineering, business, right, and fine arts, and a way to look at creating coursework there. Can you talk a little bit about some of the unique coursework you have combined with that, and what kind of flexibility that provides students?
Yeah, we created a Master's of Innovation Design. It's based around design thinking. There are 1/3 of the courses are required. Everything else is designed with the director of the program and the student, so that you do not have to have a bachelor's degree to get in the program. In fact, 2 of our first students came out of Liberal High School, if I recall correctly. They had a patent as high school students. And the goal of the program is to help you to learn design thinking, teach design thinking to others, and then to create a patent, a license, or your own business. The Johnson & Johnson has just awarded 2 of our students their national award for the most innovative students in the country. So we're really quite excited about that program. And the big issue for us is getting enough faculty to teach it and let it grow.
Yeah. Well, one of the issues that we're seeing, not just in Wichita, but across the country, is having workforce available. And one of the big pushes that we're having throughout the state of Kansas is making sure we have that workforce available to work. What are some of the things you're doing to help encourage students to stay in the Wichita area and work in the community?
Right. One of the things that we're working through right now is trying to create an innovation district around the university. What we know is that students go where they think the opportunity is. And so once they graduate, if they have relationships with enterprises, if they see that the future can be there, they tend to stay. We're also recruiting from out of state, and we know that if the opportunity is there, at least 30% of those students will stay.
All right. Thank you very much for your work. I yield back.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen, for yielding back. And the chair now recognizes Mr. DeSaulnier from California for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say how encouraging this is. The more we hear these stories and the more opportunity I've had to look around the country, it's really an example of Americans' can-do spirit using existing infrastructure in many cases to change the world. Derek is a good friend and somebody who's watched your local for 25 years adapt and change. One of the things, being from the Bay Area, that I'm constantly reminded by companies like Apple and Google is there's a stereotype that innovation, at least in the Bay Area, is completely disruptive, which isn't accurate. So Apple is always quick to lecture me that they were always mindful that the end product had to be understandable to the end user. So in the case that we did in the East Bay, and the East Bay is, people think of Tesla and Google and Apple, but we have 5 oil refineries that produce the lion's share of crude on the West Coast, particularly in California. And Derek, what I wanted to get to is your competitiveness. So people generally on stereotypes think a union contractor is going to be more expensive. We've had lots of multinational oil companies come in and for turnaround work say, we'll just take the low bid. And of course, in our area, it's legendary how often you and the IBEW and other locals have to go back in and do the work over again. So although in many instances your contractors are higher bid, our end users now realize as global companies that they get value from that. And you have invested in your apprenticeship program along with partnerships with existing infrastructure at the community college level. School districts in the district, Richmond High School has pilot projects where young people from a very disadvantaged part of the Bay Area see 20, 25 of their colleagues leave and work for Chevron starting at $95,000 or $100,000 a year. So, and that ripple effect. So could you talk a little bit about how you openly compete with contractors who don't provide the apprenticeship standards that you do and you win?
Yes, thank you, Congressman DeSaulnier. That's a great question. You know, you wouldn't think that union contractors, especially in California, a very high wage place to live, could be competitive. And ultimately, as I said in my opening remarks, contractors are really finding value in skilled and trained workforce. They want to be able to turn a dollar, but they also want to make sure that what they promise the client on time and under budget is what they deliver. What Mark said is true. Ultimately, we have subpar contractors that go in at a lower rate and don't hit the mark, and then we're called upon to sort of clean up the mess. And so while we are expensive, we are not cheap. We do deliver, and at the end of the day, that's what end users are looking for, is for us to deliver.
So I'll just conclude that with these multinational oil companies, these 5 refineries, I'm told, are some of the most profitable, safest of their facilities in the world, and it's because we require skilled, trained workforce. So I want to thank you all for being here, and again, I want to thank the chair and the ranking member for a terrific hearing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. I appreciate the panel for being here for their testimony and also being here to answer questions. But this concludes all the questions for this panel. So we'll switch from panel 3 to panel 4 now. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Education and Workforce Committee, and thank you for participating in this program. I'd like to first introduce Rachel Strucko, who is with the Schools and Homes Education SHINE program, Mr. Carl Burnside from Dunbar High School in Fort Myers, Florida, Chad Dodd with the Jay County High School, and Thomas Rockowitz with the Washington Heights Expeditionary Learning School. Before I recognize you to provide your testimony, let me briefly remind you about our lighting system. We allow 3 minutes for each innovator to present their testimony. When you begin, the light in front of you will turn green. When 1 minute is left, the light will turn yellow, and at the 3-minute mark, the light will turn red. At that point, I would ask that you wrap up your testimony. Members will each have 3 minutes to ask questions of the panelists after your opening speeches. So I'd like to start by recognizing, go back one. Recognizing Mrs. Strucko for her opening statement. Thank you.
I want to thank Chairman Virginia Fox and Congressman Lou Barletta for this invitation to speak. My name is Rachel Strucko, and I am the director of the Lehigh Carbon Community College SHINE program. SHINE is a true community success story. School administrators, guidance counselors, school day teachers, and SHINE teachers have worked together to create a STEM-rich community driven by classroom innovation, forward thinking, and future workforce opportunities. SHINE has been a catalyst for change by bridging the gap between formal and informal education. SHINE's comprehensive 42-week after-school and summer program includes kindergarten home visits, which includes a mechanism for students from pre-K counts and Head Start to seamlessly enroll in kindergarten. Students seamlessly matriculate into our 1st to 4th grade STEM programs, and then our 5th to 8th grade STEM centers, which are located at our career and technical centers. The Middle School Career Academy program, located at the career and technical schools, builds on the STEM skills taught in the elementary schools. The middle school curricula is based on 6 5-week hands-on programs. Academic teachers team with technical teachers. Many from business and industry work together in technical and science labs. Our whole curriculum is based on high-priority occupations in Pennsylvania. The projects reinforce academic skills and demonstrate a real-world application by reading, math, and science and why it plays an important role in the student's future. Teachers have observed the level of confidence increase as students work to complete the projects. Through the engineering process, work with engineers from Kovach, a global leader and manufacturer of fire trucks, to build 2 Slingshot race cars. SHINE collaborated with UGI Natural Gas Company to transform an engine that runs on natural gas and on biodiesel. Strong relationships with business and industry allow these partners to contribute to curriculum, host projects, and serve as guest lecturers. As a result, not only expand their STEM knowledge, but also gain exposure to college and career pathways in STEM fields. We have found that collaborating, sharing resources, and shared professional development make us stronger and better able to serve the students and families in our community. SHINE has been very intentional when we incorporate the basic principles of STEM into all our curriculum. We realize that STEM skills are essential to a skilled workforce in the future and essential for our students to navigate the modern world. We believe that quality after-school programming is a natural and strategic partner in this national and global initiative.
Thank you. Mr. Burnside.
I want to thank the committee for bestowing upon me the honor to speak to the House Committee on Education. I also want to thank Congressman Rooney for the invitation. My name is Carl Burnside. I am the proud principal of Dunbar High School in Fort Myers, Florida. I truly believe that what we have accomplished at Dunbar High School has enabled our students to rise up from incredibly humble circumstances into amazing career and college successes. The school district of Lee County in Florida is an extremely innovative and progressive district, and in order to keep up, Dunbar High School had to enhance its opportunities for students. In 2004, a young lady by the name of Jana Hambrook shared with me the concept of not just having a STEM academy, but having one that will allow students to obtain industry certifications. With a dedicated faculty and staff, Dunbar quickly went to the forefront of college and career readiness as it became a model for other high schools across the country. The Academy for Technology Excellence program was uniquely designed to provide students with the opportunity to obtain the most in-demand IT certifications. Led by our IT program manager, Denise Spence, ATE achieved many accolades. Microsoft took notice and named our school the first Microsoft-certified high school in the United States. Dunbar has partnered with other corporate giants, including Adobe, Aruba, and Pearson VUE, in addition to many other local businesses where students have received paid internships. Dunbar has even connected with the local colleges and universities, establishing bridging opportunities from high school to post-secondary education. Dunbar accomplished this despite the fact that the student demographics many would see as challenging, with the student population approaching 90% on free and reduced lunch. We have also added strong programs in engineering and biomedical science, where we've participated in various state competitions, and our biomedical team placed second in the National Pharmacy Challenge a few years ago. And these programs were designed by Project Lead the Way. So we've really become a college and career pathway for many of our students. Dunbar's acclaim is worldwide, and I was even invited to Barcelona, Spain to participate in a Microsoft Global Forum. We receive countless visits from schools throughout the country, as well as through other parts of the world. Just a few student success stories. Juan arrived at Dunbar High School and spoke very little English, but interned, and after high school, worked full-time as an IT support person. Giuliano, who went to the University of Florida on a full scholarship, captured third place in the Microsoft World Competition. Christian came to Dunbar his 10th grade year and has some internship experiences, and now is making $100,000 as a service desk specialist. Last but certainly not least, Tyler, who obtained 48 IT certifications, he qualified for the Microsoft World Competition and was the first United States world champion. Our goal is to prepare students for the jobs of the future, because they will face a global competition in the workforce. Dunbar, along with schools across the country, must have the flexibility to prepare students to be college and career ready by looking at the program of study of work that's actually required. It is vital that mandates are not increased that limit the career opportunities for students such as those that are available at Dunbar High School. While we're very proud of what we have done, we continue to move forward and continue to look to do what's best for students and to engage them so that they can pursue whatever dream is for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnside. Now we have Chad Dodd.
I want to thank Congressman Banks for the opportunity to share our programming with you today. My name is Chad Dodd. I'm principal at Jay County High School. In December of 2013, Vice President, then Indiana Governor Mike Pence, visited Jay County High School to observe our vocational programming. At that time, he said every student deserves the same opportunity for success, whether they want to go to college or start their career right out of high school. This is not about a plan A and a plan B. This is about two plan A's. It advances the principle that all honest work is honorable work. We are here today because we believe Jay County demonstrates how employers, educators, and the community can work together to fill the skills gap. In 2014, a group of local manufacturers came together with Jay School Corporation and the John Jay Center for Learning, our adult educational center, to discuss the difficulties in filling skilled labor positions. After the meeting, the Jay Blackford Manufacturing Academy was created at our high school and our neighboring high school to the west, Blackford High School. The goal of this academy was to provide employability skills, certificates and credentials, and internship opportunities for high school students interested in pursuing jobs in advanced manufacturing. In 2016, industries from Jay and Blackford counties, the John Jay Center for Learning, and the two high schools created the Jay Blackford Manufacturing Council. This group collaborated to create an employer-driven career education program in advanced manufacturing. Through this council, employers have chosen the curriculum, the equipment, the instructors, the future trainings for their incumbent workers and our high school seniors. Our county government has also provided local workforce training dollars to help pay for necessary equipment. This experience allows participants to attain stackable credentials approved by our local industry that can result in an associate's degree. This collaborative group ensures we are teaching the right skills to the right people at the right time. Since opening enrollment in January, 47 adult students from 8 counties are participating. 2 of those counties border Jay County in Ohio. What started out as a 2-county entity has developed into a regional training hub. In 2017-18, Jay County High School educated 115 students, roughly 12% of its population, in advanced manufacturing. 26 of those students were seniors, and 25 of those students earned an industry certification or credential through our state community college system. Starting in the 18-19 school year, Jay County High School seniors will attend the John Jay Center for Learning to complete the first level of Skills Track certification alongside adult workers, which will lead them directly to employment in our local industries and continued education in the Skills Track program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Now, Mr. Rockowitz.
Thank you to Congressmember Espaillat and the members of the committee for this opportunity. I'm the principal of Washington Heights Expeditionary Learning School, a pre-K to 12th grade public school proudly serving the Washington Heights community in New York City. We are a member of the New York City Outward Bound Network and the National EL Education Network. We serve 865 students, 92% identify as Hispanic, and 83% qualify for free and reduced lunch. Our mission is to work with families to prepare each pre-K through 12th grade student academically, emotionally, intellectually, and socially to succeed in a post-secondary institution of his or her choice and beyond. While our school community implements several innovative practices, we are founded on beliefs that are not new. We seek to make our students feel known and cared for. We challenge them relentlessly, and we support them unconditionally. I'd like to describe 4 moments from this past year from each level of our school that are innovative practices and examples of what we believe education should be. Our kindergarten students engaged in an expedition or deep interdisciplinary study on bees, researching the environmental threats to bees and learning about the advocacy methods of civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King. They wrote letters, invited their families, created posters, and marched to our local post office to mail their petitions, chanting the entire way, "Save the bees." With authentic purpose for their academic work, our students engage more deeply in their learning. Number 2, true to our Outward Bound name, when our students join us for 6th grade, we send them camping for 3 days and 2 nights, completing ropes courses and further developing the habits and values that we know are crucial for character and leadership development. Students collaborate, challenge, and support each other as they form their crews. Our school is built on the ethos of crew, small groups of students that will build deep relationships with each other and be shepherded by one crew leader throughout the year. The crew structure is one of the primary ways that we ensure students feel a sense of membership and belonging every year at Wheels. Number 3, our 9th grade students in spring semester researched local organizations that address issues that face our community. They researched the issues, met members of the organization, and pitched in front of the entire school, with the winning organization winning $5,000 for the organization they supported. The opportunity to create high-quality work that matters, that seeks to make a better world, engages students to succeed all expectations. Finally, each December, our seniors, along with seniors from across the EL Education Network, march to the local post office in an annual rite of passage, marking the end of their academic beginning. We fully expect them to continue to and through college, thanks to our nonprofit that we extended and attached to our school, Friends of Wheels. To close, each of these moments reflect challenging tasks filled with authentic purpose. Students know that these moments are markers of the high expectations we have for them and ourselves as educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rockowitz. Now we'll turn to member questions, and I'd like to recognize Mr. Barletta for 3 minutes. Oh, sorry, Mr. Espaillat for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Let me just say and start by saying that I'm thrilled to have Mr. Rockowitz here from the 13th Congressional District. As he mentioned, Mr. Rockowitz is a principal of the Washington Heights Expeditionary Learning School, WHEELS. And since 2012, 78% of WHEELS graduates graduates have enrolled in college. That's 22% higher than other New York City schools. Graduates have received acceptance letters from some of the best schools in the country, including Dartmouth, Cornell, NYU, Fordham. Also, I understand that Principal Rockowitz didn't make this trip by himself. Being the outstanding educator that he is, and given the engagement of his students, he couldn't help but take use of this opportunity and invite some of the students. They got up, I think, at 4 o'clock in the morning to be here with him and us. And so I would like to also welcome each and every one of the students. Mr. Chairman, I want to invite you in a bipartisan way to march with me and the students. I have joined the march when they go to the post office to deliver their college applications. This is something that you got to experience, the level of excitement. In Washington Heights, which was the center of crack and drug and murder and violence, these students go to the post office to deliver their college applications, and most of them are accepted to some of the best colleges in the country. I think the rest of the country should learn from them, and I'm so happy that you're here, Mr. Rockowitz, because make sure you schedule that when we're there, not here, because I think last time around we were here in Washington and I couldn't make it. But I want to also ask you a question. I know that you engage a lot of the English language learners, and I want to know exactly what are the techniques that you use to be so successful with these young people that have challenges in language proficiency. They're new in the country, many of them. They're just having great challenges with language proficiency, and you help these young people apply to some of the best colleges in the country. And guess what, Mr. Chairman? They get in. Please, Mr. Rockowitz, if you could share some of your strategies with us, that would be helpful.
Yes, that's a great question. So I think instead of listing off a bunch of strategies, I would just focus on 2 things. I think one, the practices are integrated throughout our classrooms. So we don't send our English language learners to a different classroom to get any sort of remedial work. It's integrated throughout our school, which I think gives them the continuity and coherence across their classrooms. And 2, I think we try and pitch those challenges as strengths. And so when you graduate our school, if you're biliterate, if you're bilingual, those are strengths that I think the workforce will welcome. And so we're really trying to reposition some of those challenges you described.
Thank you, and I won't ask you other questions because you answered them in your presentation. Thank you so much, and I look forward to saying hello to the students.
Great. Thank you.
Now I'd like to recognize Mr. Barletta for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've seen the value of the SHINE program firsthand, and I am probably one of the biggest cheerleaders and supporters of the program. And thank you, Rachel, for presenting today and for all the great work that you do to help Pennsylvania students. And it truly is amazing what's happening there. I mean, this is a program that has now seen success for over 12 years, maybe 14. I keep losing track, 14. It just gets better and better. So it has a proven track record of using innovative methods, STEAM education plus the arts, thus calling it STEAM, and engaging the parents in their education through home visits. And I periodically go into and to see what's happening, and it just amazes me to see how excited these kids are to be in school, building robots and remote control cars, and it's just amazing. And the bottom line is that you are changing the lives and the directions of these children. Not at 1 year at a time, but year after year after year. And as the co-chair of the Congressional After School Caucus, I could not be more proud of this program. And I hope that we can bring some of SHINE's successful strategies to after-school programs across the country. Let's shine across America. So with that in mind, Rachel, from your perspective, how can we best assist programs like SHINE from the federal level, and what challenges do you face that could be overcome by improving our assistance?
So I think one of the best strategies that we've utilized is making sure that we really build a strong foundation with formal education with our school districts. The more communication we have with the district teachers, the principals, the guidance counselors, the more information we get about our at-risk children, the better we do in after school. The more we work together as a team, the better we do for those children. I also think the career and technical model, we do utilize our career and technical centers 36 weeks a year, 4 days a week, utilizing that project-based education, going in those technical areas every evening, pairing the academic teacher with the industry teacher has been amazing, and it has that career pathway or that cradle to college. We're really seeing children now graduating high school and entering into either technical areas or associate degrees or going into 4 years. And now we have that 208 pages trend data saying that this strong after-school project is a strategy to really help communities get children involved early, engaged, and on a really strong academic pathway from kindergarten, and filtering them right into those that workforce training skill sets that we know that our students need to be successful when they graduate and enter into the workforce.
Thank you. Not only are you seeing their academic scores improving, but their school attendance improving. They want to go to school again. They can't wait to go to school. And therefore, more people are graduating, more children are graduating to the next grade. So thank you for what you do, and we're going to keep shining a light on Shine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barletta. I'd like to recognize now Mr. Banks from Indiana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thanks to each of you for taking the time to be here today to share your innovation, your ideas. It makes a difference. It helps educate members of the committee like myself to be able to advocate for the type of innovation that you're describing. And thank you, Principal Dodd, for making the trip all the way from Indiana to Washington, D.C., and testifying here today on behalf of Jay County High School and this wonderful manufacturing education initiative that you've put together and led in your community. I also want to thank Superintendent Jeremy Goley, who's in the audience, and Rusty Inman, Executive Director of the John Jay Center for Learning, for tagging along to promote this initiative and take part in the showcase today. The J. Blackford Manufacturing Academy is a perfect example of what can be achieved when Washington allows local leaders to develop solutions that best fit their communities. As members of this committee are well aware, we are facing a serious shortage of skilled workers in industries that provide good, high-paying jobs like advanced manufacturing. The need for skilled workers is particularly notable in Jay and Blackford counties, where per capita manufacturing employment is 288% higher than the national average. The Jay Blackford Manufacturing Academy has taken this problem head-on, as Principal Dodd described already today. In partnership with the J. Blackford Manufacturing Council, this initiative has produced a career education program that is responsive to the needs of local employers and creates pathways to good-paying, advanced manufacturing jobs in the community. As Mr. Dodd already noted in his testimony, the Academy has already become a regional training hub. Nearly 50 people from 8 counties have received certifications in the Academy's few years of existence. The future of this program is incredibly bright as well, and I could not be more proud of innovators like Chad Dodd, Jeremy Goley, and Rusty Inman, who are making this positive difference in the lives of the Hoosiers that I represent. So with that, Principal Dodd, my question for you is what does the expansion effort look like, and what barriers stand in your way to be able to continue to grow the program that you have? How can policymakers in Washington, D.C. further get out of the way so that you can continue to expand this good initiative?
Thank you again for having us, Congressman. Really appreciate it. Our goal in January was to get 30 students into our program. And as you said, we currently have 47, with people calling every day. We are in hopes to have 100 by the end of this calendar year. And so, we're excited about the growth of this. We had no idea it would take on this fast. Our plan in January is to integrate high school students. So high school students and incumbent workers are working together. And so we're excited to see how that takes off. Again, I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. My time has expired.
Okay, now I'll recognize myself for 3 minutes. Mr. Burnside, I just want to thank you for the leadership and innovation that you've brought to Dunbar. Dunbar is an at-risk school, just like the one that my colleague just mentioned in Washington Heights. And what you've done is pretty incredible, that you've got kids in MIT and Harvard and Cornell and all the great universities of the country, as well as in all kinds of good high-paying jobs. To be the first Microsoft certified high school in the world is a great honor for our Southwest Florida community and for your school. To be an Adobe model school is reflective of your focus on technology and the ability of your students to be prepared for the modern world, not the old world. So we just really appreciate the fact that with so many of these children from low socioeconomic and challenging environments, that you've been able to give them the hand up that they need to succeed in the world. I'd like to ask a couple of questions, if I might. First is, can you share with the committee why the traditional college path might not be the only option for students in the 21st century?
Absolutely, and once again, thank you for having me here. Our students today are competing on a global scale. It's even more important today that they are provided opportunities to obtain the skill set and the academic backgrounds which go beyond the common math, language arts, social studies, science. But we have to be able to get our kids to compete. And so what's happening now is that in the old days, career was just terminal. In other words, you got your career track and that was it. We have now, and at Dunbar, what we're doing, we really do have career and college readiness. And so it's vital that we provide our kids with that. And one example I can give you is that we have a business advisory committee, which we rely on. And I had one member who was the IT director at a bank. And when he found out all of the certifications our kids could get, he was amazed because he had a master's degree from a very prominent state university, and when he received his job, he said that every certification that he needed, Dunbar students were getting, and he didn't have any of them when he left college. And that just shows that what happens now is that we have to change what we do. Even colleges and universities need to get out of their box.
Thank you, Ms. I may have time for one quick question. You might, going on what you said there, is why is it so important to provide students with the education to reflect the demand for employment in the future?
Well, one of the things, technology is changing rapidly. So we are in the process, we're not just preparing kids for jobs of today, we're preparing kids for jobs of the future. And so we continue to work on that. And so we have to always keep up with the industry because that's what's important. And we want our kids to be critical thinkers so they can truly compete.
Thank you, Mr. Burnside, and thank all the other panelists for being here in this very important opportunity to exchange ideas and see some great innovation in education. So thank you. Now we'll have the next panel, panel 5. I'd like to welcome our panelists to the Education and Workforce Committee, and thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. I'd like to introduce each person. First is Chris Carter with the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, Dan German with the Community Action Partnership of Lancaster County, Adrian Bradbury is with the National Center for Women and Informational Technology. Paul Carlson is with Lakeshore Technical College. And Stephen Emmert is with LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Before I recognize you to present your testimony, I'd like to briefly remind you about our lighting system. We allow 3 minutes for each innovator to present their testimony, and when you begin, the light in front of you will turn green. When 1 minute is left, the light will turn yellow, and at the 3-minute mark, the light will turn red, at which point we would ask that you wrap up your testimony. So now the members will have 3 minutes to ask questions, and then members will have 3 minutes to ask questions of the panelists after each one of you testify. So we'd like to start with Mr. Carter.
Thank you. And thank you to Congresswoman Fox for the invitation to speak today, and to Congressman Bobby Scott for the invite and continued support over the years. My name is Chris Carter. I'm Deputy Director with the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, or VSGC. We are a coalition of 5 Virginia colleges and universities, the Virginia Community College System, NASA, state educational agencies, and other institutions that provide STEM education, workforce development, and research. The VSGC is part of NASA's National Space Grant College and Fellowship Program and acts as an umbrella organization coordinating and developing projects. Old Dominion University is our host institution, and our offices are located in Hampton, Virginia. We have a statewide mission, but we also work on projects with regional and national impact. VSGC offers a pipeline of middle school through secondary school and higher education programs to engage and sustain youth in STEM. The consortium works at the nexus between NASA's priorities and state needs and goals to provide programs that impact students and faculty, which contribute to the economic growth of the Commonwealth. For our pre-college programs, Virginia Space Grant recruits students from every district in Virginia, and all opportunities are offered free of cost. More than 12,000 students have participated in pre-college STEM opportunities in the past decade. The programs align with Virginia's Department of Education's profile of a Virginia graduate, and 95% of participants are retained in STEM fields. At the higher education level, VSGC has awarded more than $7.2 million in scholarships and fellowships to 1,733 students. Our director, Mary Sandy, has more than 34 years of experience in managing programs for NASA and the Commonwealth of Virginia and other federally funded projects. We've managed several national internship programs and a statewide industry internship program, placing more than 6,500 students in paid and mentored internships. In partnership with consortium members in business and industry, we've developed education and workforce development programs in emerging high-tech fields such as cybersecurity, unmanned aircraft systems, and small satellites. We have many student-led projects in partnership with higher education and school divisions, including sounding rocket missions, microgravity, and space station experiments. To highlight one program, VSGC coordinates and offers the Virginia Aerospace Science and Technology Scholars, or VASS program, in partnership with NASA Langley and the Commonwealth of Virginia. VASS also receives industry support and consists of a online space exploration-themed online course followed by a 1-week summer academy hosted at NASA Langley. Students can also earn college credit through Thomas Nelson Community College for completing the programs. Thank you.
Mr. Carter, now Mr. German.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney. Thank you, Mr. Rooney. Thank you to the members of the committee, to Chairwoman Fox and Congressman Smucker. Thank you all for your time today. It's truly an honor to be with you. We have sent in advance a full statement of our testimony with other materials, but for the sake of our short time together this morning and covering 3 years of innovation in 3 minutes, I will move directly to description of some of the innovations and partnerships that Community Action Partnership is spearheading in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania to combat poverty. First, Empower Lancaster is a universal social services database currently being shared among over 40 Lancaster County organizations and growing. We understand this to be a first-in-the-nation initiative where we're taking a no-wrong-door approach to social services with streamlined universal intake and a standard evaluation to assess an individual's strengths and areas for goal-oriented growth. This revolutionary innovation will allow our community to track in real time progress towards self-sufficiency and the combination of services helping to move the needle, which will then allow us to better allocate funds as a community. It will also seamlessly connect individuals to other supports for which they may be eligible, saving time and needless duplication of efforts. Second, in Lancaster County, 48% of families in poverty are headed by a single mother. Often these mothers can't afford to stop earning a bad paycheck in order to pursue a better one. They're trapped. In an effort to assist single moms working in jobs with low pay or low opportunity for advancement, we are launching a pilot to provide long-term case management and life stipends to bridge the financial gap while these women obtain training or wait for their first living wage paycheck. This not only allows them to overcome the uncertainty of the unknown, but it also provides skilled workers to our county's employers who list available workforce as their #1 concern. We've also formed our own construction company, hiring people with barriers to employment, especially a criminal record, and paying them a living wage to learn to turn blighted and condemned housing into beautiful homes that are then sold to low to moderate income first-time home buyers. It's a partnership between CAP, the Lancaster Housing Opportunity Partnership, the City of Lancaster, and our County Redevelopment Authority. This initiative, which won the 2017 U.S. Conference of Mayors Community Wins Award, turns residents into the heroes of our story and is now poised to start tackling Lancaster's lead paint crisis as well. And finally, innovation in a legacy program. Each year, CAP serves more than 700 children in early education. As we study 21st century careers, we increasingly see the need for skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. And while K through 12 schools have done a good job integrating STEM into curriculum, STEM has not been as much of a focus for early learning programs. That's why this fall, CAP, in partnership with Millersville University, will debut Central Pennsylvania's first pre-K STEM classroom, focusing largely on the children of first-generation college students. While the classroom instruction will happen with federal Head Start dollars, the funding for the renovations, technology, and curriculum has come from private funders leveraging both for greater outcomes. In fact, most of these innovations were seed funded by the Federal Community Services Block Grant and then leveraged to bring in other dollars to grow and sustain them. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak, and I'd be happy to answer any questions any of you have.
Thank you, Mr. German. Now I'd like to recognize Ms. Bradbury.
Thanks to you and the committee for having us here today. Thanks to you and the committee for having us here today. I'm going to start off with a question. Did you know that some early voice recognition systems were calibrated to typical male voices, and as a result, women's voices were literally unheard? It's critical to ensure that today's innovative process capitalizes on the benefits of diverse perspectives from various groups as opposed to one homogeneous one. Diversity in computing is a business issue. Research shows that gender-based and gender-diverse tech organizations and departments demonstrate superior team dynamics and productivity. They produce work teams that stay on schedule and under budget, and they perform better financially, particularly when women occupy a significant proportion of top management positions. And at a time when technology drives economic growth, diversity can yield a larger and more competitive workforce. However, diversity in computing today is lacking. Few women of all races, ethnicities, class, and disability status are pursuing tech education or careers. The National Center for Women in Information Technology, NCWIT, is a nonprofit community that convenes, equips, and unites change-leading organizations to increase the meaningful participation of all women in computing. We can help them to mitigate societal and systemic barriers and to improve their inclusion efforts. Before NCWIT was chartered in 2004 by the National Science Foundation, NSF, programs focusing on women and computing existed mostly in isolation, without the benefit of shared best practices, effective resources, or a national reach. To date, NCWIT's community consists of more than 1,100 universities, companies, nonprofits, and government organizations who carry out projects and initiatives in support of NCWIT's mission. One such initiative is the NCWIT Aspirations in Computing program, which provides ongoing engagement, visibility, and encouragement for the computing-related interests and achievements of more than 10,000, I think closer to 13,000 technical girls and women in high school through college and into the workforce. Aspirations in Computing reaches all 50 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and all U.S. military bases overseas. 240,000 instructional hours have been given to more than 8,000 girls in 40 states since 2013 through this program, And lastly, from high school to post-secondary, 90% of aspirations and computing participants persist in STEM. Through this initiative and others, NCWIT helps to build a national infrastructure that results in a broad, sustainable impact. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bradbury. Now I'd like to recognize Mr. Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney, members of the committee. My name is Paul Carlson. I am the president of Lakeshore Technical College in Wisconsin. We serve approximately 11,000 students each year, and by my estimation, we would have the best faculty and staff in the country. The manufacturing industry employs 36,000 people in our service region. To put that into perspective, our population is just under 200,000 in our service region. As such, the demand for electromechanical technicians, or electromechs as we call them, who can set up, operate, and repair robots is at an all-time high. So we set out to make a difference by upskilling the next generation of electromechs through something we call micromatch upskilling. Partnering with regional employers like Sargento Foods, Bemis Manufacturing, Rockline Industry, and Lakeside Foods, we work with industry experts to identify the ideal skill set of an electromech. Now, in a traditional model, a college might take this back and create a 2-year credit-bearing specialized associate degree, but our region is at full employment, and skilled electromechs are needed today, not in 2 years. So we work with employers to identify pockets of incumbent workers who might one day become skilled electromechs. We deployed scientifically validated aptitude tests to identify what their current skill level was. We then compared where they were with where they needed to be based on industry input and created 5 short-term non-credit seminars on robotics to bridge the largest gap in the workforce. These seminars range from 8 to 24 hours and can be individually selected or stacked. An incumbent worker need only take those seminars specific to their upskilling. It could be all 5, maybe 3, or just 1. But regardless, whenever they were done with their customized training, they'd advance from wherever they were to their ideal skill set. In the 4 months since we launched this program, we've trained over 100 workers. To put that into a different phrase, we have upskilled over 100 incumbent workers. The primary audience, the only audience of this so far has been incumbent manufacturing workers. Employers are sending their employees to our college for training during the workday, paying for that training on behalf of the employee. The under 100 upskills we have seen so far, those participants have not paid a single dime out of their own paycheck. As we move forward, we will look to expand this opportunity to folks who are not within the manufacturing industry, because micromatch upskilling really is the perfect fit for someone in a low-paying service job or a general labor job or just any underskilled adult ready for a career change, because it allows them to build off their existing skill set and take only those targeted seminars needed to move from minimum wage to a middle-class manufacturing job. Members of the committee, thank you for your time. Look forward to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. I'd like to recognize now Mr. Emmert.
Congressman Rooney and members of the committee, thank you for inviting us today to speak to the committee. My name is Steve Emmert. I'm with RELX Group, a world-leading provider of information and analytics to professional and business customers across the world. I'm here today on behalf of LexisNexis Risk Solutions, one of our companies which provides data and technology solutions to the financial services, retail, and insurance industries, as well as to government agencies and the law enforcement community. LexisNexis Risk Solutions recently hosted and funded a 4-week summer coding and tech education program at its headquarters in Alpharetta, Georgia, for high school students selected from across the metro Atlanta area. The Tomorrow's Technologist program, hosted by LexisNexis Risk Solutions, is a collaborative effort with the Technology Association of Georgia Education Collaborative and Higher Ground Education. This program provides students with technology training and development, career literacy and exposure, and access to industry professionals. Students leave the camp with enhanced skills and confidence to help prepare them for future career pathways, as well as a free laptop. STEM Connector recently reported that technical knowledge is a fundamental skill that young people need to succeed, but not enough young people in this country are developing that foundation. This situation is no different in Georgia, where only 25% of Georgia high schools have AP programs that offer an AP computer science class. Minority, female, and economically disadvantaged students are underrepresented in AP computer science classes and in the technology workforce. LexisNexis Risk Solutions believes that all students should have access to technology and programming education in their schools, and that these subjects should be an integral part of education, along with other basics such as reading, writing, and mathematics. We're committed to providing opportunities to youth to learn about technology and programming by offering camps like Tomorrow's Technologists, where they can gain hands-on experience and training and build confidence in their skills and themselves. Tomorrow's Technologist is one of several coding education events that LexisNexis Risk Solutions sponsors. It's part of our ongoing initiative to invest in the data scientists and computer engineers of tomorrow with science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM education. Thank you for inviting us to participate in today's program. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Emmert. Now, I'd like to recognize myself to ask a question on behalf of our colleague, Mr. Smucker, of Mr. German. Mr. German, you spoke about the unprecedented collaboration that your organization has pursued in addressing the problem of chronic poverty in Lancaster County. What have been your most significant challenges in coordinating between different organizations and connecting those seeking employment with available jobs?
Thank you, Mr. Rooney. I think probably the most significant challenge is just the amount of time that it takes to bring all of the relevant stakeholders together and to the table. So many times we try to find simpler solutions, cookie-cutter answers to very complex problems. And so what we realize is that not only do we have to be very strategic and specific around how we address each individual's aspirations, aptitudes, and passions, we also have to be very specific with how we address each business's needs, coordinating across different sectors, getting our local city government, our county government, our businesses to the table to have these conversations so we can find out what those needs are. The people that we're serving, the customer, getting them there so we can find out what the barriers are to them taking the jobs that we know are available and we know pay a living wage. Our faith-based community, trying to get past all of the silos that we've built in our communities takes a lot of time, but when we do it and we do it well, the outcomes are unprecedented and it's certainly worth the effort.
Thank you, Mr. German. Now I would like to recognize our ranking member, Mr. Polis. 3 minutes.
Thank you. And Ms. Bradbury, I want to thank you in particular for being here and your amazing work that NCWIT is doing in Colorado. I've had the opportunity to partner with National Council for Women in Technology on many public policy issues over the years because, of course, more than ever before, a solid foundation in STEM education is incredibly important. And in our committee, we've worked hard to expand opportunities for STEM through Title IV, Part A of the Every Student Succeeds Act, through the Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. But unfortunately, women have been historically underrepresented in the growing tech sector, even in tech hubs like Denver and Boulder. And I'm really proud of the work that NCWIT is doing to diversify the tech workforce, make sure that young girls and women have the same access to tech training and jobs as their male counterparts. I also congratulate NCWIT for receiving the Presidential Award for Excellence in Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Mentoring. Can you share more about what this award meant and how you were recognized for the White House for your work and what this kind of political forum and support for your mission can help you deliver on?
Yes, we were very honored to receive that recognition. We received that award for our work within the Aspirations in Computing initiative, which I've testified here about today. That Aspirations in Computing initiative primarily focuses on encouraging girls and women with computing aspirations to persist in STEM. And they are backed by our community of 11,000 or 1,100 organizations who help them continue on in their education and workforce careers.
And in your testimony, you mentioned NCWIT's work to increase women's participation rate in tech, but you also mentioned that means all women. And then we also know that we have real divides based on race, ethnicity, class, age, sexual orientation, disability status. Can you share more about the intersectionality of your work to make sure that that means all women?
Yes, so lessons from previous gender equity efforts have shown us that the conditions that women face are complicated. So without careful and explicit attention to intersectionality, efforts often default to a focus on straight, middle, or upper class white women, thus marginalizing the concerns of women in color, the LGBTQIA community, the working class women, and women with disabilities, just to name a few. So whether intentional or unintentional, we cannot allow this to be the default, and so we make sure that our member organizations and change leaders have their efforts focused on all women.
I know NC WIT has been a beneficiary of National Science Foundation grants. Can you talk about the importance of federal support for helping to address this divide?
Yes, so we would then be less able to fund professional services provided by consultants and vendors nationwide. We would be less able to fund seed programs from other institutions that are focused on recruiting and retaining for diversity. Most importantly, we would be less able to fund the research that we need in order to provide practical recommendations and advice to all of our change-leading organizations to help them better retain and recruit for diversity.
Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes Representative Grothman for 3 minutes.
Sure, I have a couple of quick questions. One was just in response to the last thing. It kind of hit me by surprise. Mr. Carlson, we've known each other for a while. I was not aware anywhere in which people try to prevent or discriminate against women getting in classes. Do you in Wisconsin, are you aware of any tech school that stands in the way of women taking classes or requires higher test scores of them or anything like that?
Thank you for your question, Representative Grothman. So at Lakeshore Technical College, we are an open access institution, and we admit anybody, and that would be standard within the Wisconsin Technical College.
Maybe it's a big problem in Colorado. I don't think we discriminate in Wisconsin. But I'll give you some other questions. You do a great job in Wisconsin's tech school system. Do you ever find students who have a full 4-year degree or matriculated at a traditional institution and wind up going to the Lakeshore Technical College?
Yes, sir. We're seeing that more and more when skilled manufacturing jobs are paying wages that start at $65,000 a year. We are seeing more people who have previously earned a bachelor's degree enrolling at Lakeshore Technical College today than we have seen in the past.
And are there other people who not only have a 4-year degree, but maybe spent 1 or 2 years going before they decided to go to the tech school as well?
Oh, absolutely. So we'll see those folks that will try 1 or 2 years at a 4-year college and realize that learning environment is not for them. They want something more hands-on. And we also find people who graduate from high school, they hit the workforce right away, and after 2 or 3 years of working a low-paying job, they're ready to make that career change for them and their family.
Okay, and you mentioned it's not unusual to get a degree, which takes less than 4 years and less of a cost, to wind up making $65,000 a year?
Yes, sir. So electromech technicians in our service region are in such high demand that an individual who would enroll at Lakeshore Technical College right after high school and graduate with an associate degree in 2 years, paying $135 per credit hour, would see a significant return on investment by the time they were 20 for their tuition.
Okay, so you could be making with overtime $70,000 or $80,000 a year and still only be 20 years old?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so that 65 would be a base wage, and labor markets are so tight right now that many people are getting overtime in our industries.
It's amazing that anybody in this institution would be encouraging more students to go the traditional 4-year route when they could wind up so much better going to a tech school, making more money without the huge debt. Why do you think people still talk about this 4-year degree stuff?
Well, you know, that's a mindset change that I think is starting to change across the country and within our service region, that college is not a one-size-fits-all 4-year degree, but what's best for the economy, what's best for the student, their own individual learning. I wish everybody would come to Lakeshore Technical College.
Yep, you do a great job, and I appreciate it. I'm sure you, like the vast majority of colleges in the country, do not discriminate against women, and I'm sorry if that was implied.
Thank you. With that, I will now recognize myself for 3 minutes, and I want to thank all the panelists for being here and for participating in this. I think all of you are very well aware of where we need to go on a workforce from a workforce standpoint to really not only meet today's job needs, but tomorrow's. And Mr. Emmert, thank you so much for coming from my home district, CD6 in Georgia. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about the program at LexisNexis, the Tomorrow's Technologies camp that you were doing. You just graduated your first class?
Yes, Congresswoman, that's correct.
I go by
Friday.
either. It doesn't matter to me. Thank you. That's great. So your first class, about 25 students?
29.
29. That is great. That is really great. So talk to me and all of us a little bit about how the education that the students get through the camp in terms of coding is helping them be better prepared, not just for today's workforce, but for 10 or 20 years from now.
Sure. So one of the things that we've done is we've first targeted high school students. One of the reasons for that is we're trying to help them understand that opportunities exist for them down the road, often opportunities that they've not thought about. We target in particular women and minority students and introduce them to a range of technologies, everything from basic programming to website design, app development, data analytics, and then ultimately we teach them to work in teams, to work towards an end with a project, so that they begin to understand that this isn't unattainable. It is very attainable. It is something they can learn to do. It is something that they may find a lot of enjoyment in, depending on the particular niches that are of greatest interest to them. They want to design games, that's an area that's an option. They want to do data analytics, that's an area that's an option. So a lot of this is about looking forward towards career prospects, matching them up with professionals who are in the field today who can serve as mentors for them both this summer, but down the road as well, whether it's around a technical question or a career question. Personally, I'm kind of looking to see if a few years from now we don't have a few of these individuals working for us. We're a major employer in this space, and it's a little bit self-serving, but it's one of the reasons that we are investing in a program of this type.
Well, I think it's fantastic, and for all of the initiatives to really open the minds and the doors for young people to be able to explore different careers that they maybe would not have otherwise thought of for themselves. So thank you very much. And I believe now, are you ready, Representative Scott, or would you like a minute? Always ready? It's my pleasure now to recognize my colleague, Representative Scott, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon. I want to thank all of our innovators for coming and testifying today and being present in this insightful showcase that we have. I'd particularly like to thank Chris Carter, the Deputy Director of the Virginia Space Grant Consortium. Consortium's work throughout the community, throughout Virginia, has helped ensure that students have access to STEM programs from an early age. And I'd like to particularly thank the work that they do on scholarship awards. I think you've benefited, what, 1,500 students in Virginia already, and placed hundreds of students in valuable internship programs, including at NASA and other federal facilities. Programs like VSGC illustrate the kind of collaboration between K through 12, higher education, and local industry that are critical to improving our workforce and bridging our skills gap. Our education system and the opportunities that you provide for students has been and will continue to be what allows our country to be able to compete in the global economy. Mr. Carter, there's strong evidence to show that VSGC is providing positive outcomes for students. Can you say a word about how you make sure that these opportunities are available to all students?
Yes, thank you, Congressman Scott, and we appreciate your continued support for many years to our programs in Virginia. Yeah, we have a fantastic and strong partnership with the Virginia Department of Education, which is the state agency for K-12 education. And working through them, we have a single point of contact in every school division in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And as you know, Virginia is a very diverse state, from the Appalachian Mountains in the western part of the state to the eastern shore in Virginia. We have urban and rural and small districts and large districts. And we work very hard, and it's a priority of ours, to make sure that everybody is aware of the programs and they're actively recruited. And the fact that all programs are free of cost to students is something that we're very proud of and we work very hard to maintain. And so we feel like all of that together appeals to every student in every division. And they do sort of feel like STEM education and NASA is for them, and we work hard at getting that message out there. And most of our programs have participants from over the years from 100% of the Senate districts and more than 95% of the House districts in the Commonwealth.
And can you say what you're doing for professional development for teachers?
We have, through a variety of funding sources, several teacher professional development programs. We actively recruit teachers from underserved and underrepresented regions for opportunities to improve their STEM education integration and their skills. We have a partnership with Virginia's community college system to help community college faculty learn how to integrate unmanned aircraft systems or drones into their curriculum, and we recently partnered with the National Science Foundation to establish a drone workforce development program. And we're seeing programs grow. We also have a partnership with Virginia Community College System to do some NASA-hosted STEM education programs for community college and dual enrollment teachers in high school.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Representative Scott, I'll recognize you for closing remarks for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and this has been a tremendous opportunity for everyone. We had the displays earlier today and now a very effective panel showing what can be done in innovation. We have a very challenging work to do to make sure that our students are prepared for the work of the future. And the witnesses here today and the displays they've had earlier today go a long way in making sure that we're doing the work that we're supposed to do to prepare our workers for the future. And I thank you, Madam Chair, for your leadership.
And now I'd like to recognize the distinguished chairman of this committee, Chairman Fox, for her closing remarks.
Thank you, Congresswoman Handel, and thank you, Mr. Scott. I'm sorry I didn't get to hear all the presentations, but I got here in time for some of the questions. I had to be in 3 places at the same time, so it was a little difficult today. But we appreciate very much your coming and helping to educate members of this committee by presenting the unique things that you all are doing. We're going to go down to where the showcase is right after this. You're the last panel. I want to make a couple of remarks down there and thanking everyone, but I just can't express enough my appreciation, not only for your being here today, but also for being risk takers and stepping out and doing the things that you see should be done to help people get the skills they need to go into the jobs that are out there these days. And it's just so encouraging for us to see these programs, and we hope that the pollination, cross-pollination that will occur as a result of today will spread the innovation even further. This is the first time we've done this, and not all of our colleagues participated in it, but I think they will hear from those of us who did that it was a really good thing, and we so much appreciate the staff, because when you do something the first time, it is a challenge more for them than it is for us. We just had to invite one person. They had to make it happen. So I want to thank them, but also thank you for coming and say, God bless you in the work you're doing. I hope you feel a little bit inspired and encouraged by what happened today.
Thank you, and thank you again to all of the panelists for being here and for your leadership. There being no further business, the Innovation Forum is now adjourned.